on, I'm gonna get mine. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown. It's your fool, bitch. So just step back. Or I'm mad dad when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you want? Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly dis, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, and you know it's mine. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll.
For the first time, our bumper music comes right in. No, of course not.
For reasons to fly southwest from the
Why would it do that?
I don't know. It's a good way to start the show, though. Yeah, with that groan I've come to know so well after...
I don't think it's happened once this year where our bumper music has worked. I need a better system, Jim.
Hasn't happened where it works.
My system's broken. Just like the medical cannabis system, so is my system.
Well, this is our 88th podcast. 88th Weekly Thursday podcast. So you think we'd have got it right by now, wouldn't you? Now go down and pick up the police permit, and I'm trying to help the guy, like, where is it? And I don't know. I mean, how many permits have I picked up? You know, I don't know. So I'm like telling him I'm not real observant.
Is it a big hassle? No?
Not really. A little more work today than it was normally, but I had to break in a new trooper. So.
How did you know where to go to get this permit?
It started out in 2014 when Jenny said, could you pick up the permit? And that was when it was in the State House. And then when she left for Colorado with 10 podcasts left in 2014, I started being the guy. So,
oh, I see. You learn from someone.
Yeah, and I'm pretty affable when I'm dealing with the troopers, and we have a generally really solid relationship with them, and, you know, try to keep it that way. The little things, okay, we set up a little badminton thing over there where the patients smoke.
I saw
but
that.
Yeah, it involves a couple of stakes in the ground, and they got shut down with a smiling, apologetic, sorry to break up your fun, you know. Now, we could respond by one person holding each pole and continue, but that, no,
That's
seriously.
a good one.
No,
Did you think of that?
No, I thought of that, but I also suggested not doing it. In other words, because I don't want them to think every time you tell us something, we're going to find a way around it.
Right.
And
We're not trying to annoy you.
Yeah, it's not
But we
like
are.
they needed badminton that bad, really. You know, I mean, so I think just not doing it, you know. I don't know.
Why don't you have a microphone?
Coalition for Medical Badminton.
Champ
yeah.
is here.
CMM bad.
It's a nice day today.
It's beautiful. I can tell it's a nice day when after carrying stuff out for the podcast and setting up and then walking down to pick up the permit when I don't show up all sweaty. It's got to be a nice day because that stuff makes
beautiful.
us, you know, it's summer. It's the dog days of summer.
It's the last
Dogs got it
weekend.
pretty easy sometimes.
School
Feels like
starting.
fall already.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like fall without winter being coming right up soon here, you know. Not like you got to go getting out the winter gloves.
I can wait for winter. The summer's been really weird.
It hasn't been one of the hottest on record like 3 to 4 last summers were. So
Does it
yeah.
get really humid?
Yeah. But, you know, when we do anything even like this, we're pretty sedentary. I said that right? That's like a word I never use. I just
Sedentary.
thought I'd yeah, you know, we're not
Sedientary?
we're not working out at the minute. So
No, we're-
Sedimentary.
yeah, it's not like
That's like
real-
rockish.
It's not work.
Sediment rock.
Kind of like a job because you do it once a week.
Kind of like a job
Yeah.
that you don't
But
get
you know,
paid for.
it's like for as much as it's like a little bit of regularity gets to be a pain in the ass sometimes when it's either inconvenient or it's don't schedule anything for Thursday for 9 months or 8 months a year. That's the day. I mean, I can do stuff Sunday, Saturday, but Thursday is always that off day. But then something happens or somebody dies or something goes on and you know exactly why you come here. I mean, I know why I come every week. Usually it's when somebody passes away or there's an adverse story, you know, or in the best of
Adverse
situations,
story,
in a best
Lefty?
of situations, the good stories that you hear, you know, starting with Tony, who didn't leave his house for so long because of addiction and
Years.
getting hard to get around physically and stuff, you know, and then there have been dozens and dozens and dozens since then, you know, where you just hear, and when you hear from somebody with PTSD about how good it is since it's been legal, because even when they were treating it illegally, you start to look over your shoulder a little bit, which in itself is not great when you got PTSD. You don't want to be having anxiety come with, you know, you just took your medicine and here's a cop and he's looking at you kind of funny, giving you the stink eye, and you don't know. It's the good stories is why I like coming back as well, but it's the sad ones, you know. That's why we do the Ode to Remembrance, which will be awesome with you here, not having to phone it in at the end, you know. So no matter how much fun we may have between now and the end of the show, we all guarantee we're going to leave here feeling like shit. It just works out that way.
That's our goal.
Yeah.
Make you feel like crap.
But tell me, during the week, sometimes don't you hear something on the news, New Jersey-wise, or something has to do with, you know, what goes on in Trenton, and all of a sudden it's kind of good that we got Thursday coming up. I mean, whether it's just, I'm going to make a sign. Okay, it's another sign. It's a place to go with it every Thursday, you know, where you're part of a system of people that gets represented, not just, you know, the lone wolf with a problem.
It's great that Angela McKnight has her Health and Senior Services Committee here every Thursday at 10 a.m. And I can always check in on her and see if she's here and talk about my wheelchair issue with her.
Do they have fairly regular?
When they start up, it's
scheduling?
yeah. When they start up, it hasn't started up yet. They're in their summer recess.
They must come back pretty quick after the Labor Day weekend.
next week. Yeah.
You know what's special about this Labor Day weekend?
What?
This is my favorite Labor Day weekend every other year when there are elections, state elections in New Jersey. It's great because this is when they all come out. You know, if you want to deal with Angela McKnight, as an example.
And he does. He has a lot to say.
Follow her, volunteer, whatever, sign up for get in touch with me, and not, can't make it anywhere. You know what I did one time? I volunteered to make phone calls.
That's what we need. Volunteers to make phone calls.
But I was making phone calls for somebody who didn't support medical marijuana, and when I asked if they were gonna, who they're gonna vote for, I'd ask them not to vote for this guy, because they gave me a whole list of potential. Here's some hot numbers to call. I'm sure word got back out. Because I didn't ask for more than my list, but it's just fun to do that. But my point is that you can find out where Angela McKnight is going to be at a meet and greet. She's going to do it, whether it be a town hall or over the weekend going to a barbecue somewhere for veterans or walking in a local parade. She's out and about. Everybody is, because they're all up for re-election and they have to be accessible. I love this time of year. This starts it right here. I mean, this is when it also gets crappy with campaign ads on TV, except for this is being only a state election, not federal. It's not going to get that kind of action for commercials necessarily, and not at the television range. But we, along with Virginia, are the only two states that have their state elections off year of the federal election. So it's state one year, federal the next year. The rest of the country, other than Virginia, they got nothing going on. I mean, they got local stuff and what we have in our off-year elections. But every other year we get to go, well, we got federal elections, and the next year we got state elections. I like that. You get to have a focus each year.
Who's running this year?
In New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
all 40 Senate seats and all 80 Assembly seats are.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, they're all. Most are looking for re-elections. There's a couple who are not going to run, like Senator Diane Allen, who became a friend to medical marijuana, who was not a friend 10 years ago. The evolution of Diane Allen involved her getting throat cancer. So I don't know what part that played in her coming to the right light side, Senator Whelan died, so his seat will be open. Also a friend to medical marijuana. But for the most part, just about everybody's up for re-election.
Is Scutari up for re-election?
Everybody is, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we need people to come out and vote. We have the Trenton Cannabis Community second part on the 24th of September, and we'll be going around Trenton trying to register people to vote.
Really? Nice.
So
that's where it starts.
Yeah. We need people to vote. We need the younger people to start registering.
We should register them.
We should absolutely have the forums.
Yeah, let's do that.
At our thing.
Yeah,
let's
we
do
suggested
that.
that. We just had a meeting last night, and we were going over
what's
stuff.
also very good about attempts to register people is you have such leeway where it's like, I'm sorry, you can't. What are you doing? Well, I'm trying to register people to vote. Are you trying to move me? That doesn't work out well sometimes. You know what I mean? You don't want to get in the way of somebody's right to register. So, it actually gets you indoors where you can't normally leaflet. You can do that.
We're going to be doing going to a lot of the local showcases and artist spotlights and getting the crowd, getting them signed up, getting them registered.
Yeah, anywhere people gather, especially where they get out or go in somewhere about the same time. There's.
Yeah.
Is it going to be straight out register to vote, or is it going to be register to vote with showing your colors on by way of a T-shirt with a cannabis issue on it?
Oh, of course, we're going to be talking about the issues at hand with the people that we're trying to get to register.
Yeah.
Even if they're not on board, I mean, still,
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, but I'm not saying I'm just saying that if I were registering to vote, and there was the shirts that you guys got on right now, we wouldn't even have to talk about it, but it might help me to approach rather than push back. So good effort.
Definitely.
Who else is involved?
Phil Charles, Jason Arnold, Laura Carter,
That figures, you know.
Yeah,
that would have been
the rest of the crew.
Would have been 3 guesses that come right to the top, you know, and you know, well, that's good. There's another event coming up at Mill Hill Park?
Yes, on September 24th.
24th.
We're just starting to get all the details together, and as soon as everything's set in stone, we'll start passing out flyers. And
I might be speaking at that one.
yes, they put you down as a speaker.
I might be a little angry and yelling, but I'll be speaking a little bit, but mostly yelling and
That's all right. Charge them
screaming.
up. Charge them up.
Whining, a little whining here and there.
Oh, a little.
Bitching.
Little.
Well, you know,
Oh, this
You
tent's
could do a
moving little bit.
reenactment.
I may have to get
there's
some.
no handicap access to the bottom of the
I know.
amphitheater.
I'm going to sue somebody.
This makes us a parasail here when we set that up. No, I mean it's moving the tent, so I'm gonna.
We're going to reenact my arrest in Linden. We're going to have a bunch of people stand around me, and I'm going to get in the middle. Kind of gay looking, but it's all right.
And where are you
I
going
think
to
it's
do
all
it?
men.
As long as you scream like a girly
And
man.
Where will
Uniforms?
no? Where does this take
At Mill Hill
place?
Park. We're going to recreate my arrest at Mill Hill Park, so make sure you show up to see that one.
You got to do a better job than Lenny Bruce used to do when he'd make his court case the center of his show, because people left in the middle of the show sometimes because he wasn't making them laugh. You know. Now you're not there to make people laugh. This is great. Actually,
I actually am.
stirring somebody up is what motivates people, right?
Oh,
But
hey.
I'm just saying, you know, that you know, you need an end game for them who are listening to
Listen
you.
to
In
this,
other words,
Jim.
the end game, how can you help or what you might do.
I have an end game.
Or just listen to me because it's about me. Wow,
You
wow,
want
wow.
to hear some shit?
No, we might as well get it out of the way. That's what Lenny tried to do, but it, you know.
No, we're not getting that. We're going to talk about the arrest.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my offense. My offense.
I mean, how you offend
is it?
people or your offense legally?
Both. Both. Exactly. They're both
You get
hand
2
in
for
hand.
1 right
The
there.
offense with a C or an S, or they both, yeah.
It's all together.
It's an offensive offense. I'm enlisting the Paralyzed Veterans of America in my wheelchair fight. I talked to a man named Lee yesterday, and we're going to go forward with going to the Justice Department with all of these businesses that have no wheelchair ramps, and especially politicians.
Going to the Justice Department in Trenton.
Yeah, we're going to talk to them about this because they have somebody that looks at these cities and says, yeah, this is good, yeah, this is bad. I don't think they've been to Bayonne, Jersey City, Linden, or Newark, or
Trent.
When you say go to the Justice Department,
we have to
define
okay,
go to.
Go to the Justice Department, talk to the advocate for the ADA. They have an advocate.
Yeah.
Here.
So you make
We
an
have their
appointment.
information.
You make an appointment with the advocate.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
This is important stuff because a lot of people are getting on board with this fight now.
Yeah.
That they see what's going on, they're like, "This is ridiculous." My friend's in a wheelchair, and I saw 2 more people in wheelchairs in Bayonne that I met in the last 2 weeks, and they're just like, "No, I've never been on Broadway."
You know, the thing is, they do have grandfather rules and all, but it is really, really a good idea to have somebody check up and make sure that it's not being stretched so far that patients, you know, actually have recourse that's on the books, you know, and any kind of, you know, there used to be until I think it was, I forget which governor, office of the public advocate, and I forget which governor shit-canned it. Well, it was a little while back, but you know, normally you would simply go to that office within the state that would check up on itself, you know. Kind of like going to internal affairs with police if something really serious was going on. That's who you would pass it off to. But this is, that sounds like a prudent
Yeah, well, it seems like nothing gets done until someone comes and, like Lefty here, and brings the issue at hand.
Shake it up.
Yeah. But you can do it. This sounds all very front door to me.
Yeah,
and bringing the right.
Scary, right?
Well, and no, the opposite of scary. You know.
Well, when I'm coming through the front door, you don't want to see me with a camera. Trust me. Trust me. You don't want none of this. Do the right thing.
You know, and
that's why they won't let you in Ed's courtroom anymore with any cameras.
Yeah, they will.
Oh, they will?
Yeah, who said that?
I thought you said they denied you.
No, not the courtroom. His jail. I cannot visit him in jail with a camera. They're denying me.
Yeah.
Lillian Lazaro denied me. So I have to get a lawyer to write her a letter. And I need to get in writing what their policy is, because I asked Lillian, I'm like...
that's the case whenever I've visited somebody, you know, with the glass in telephone even. I mean, it's not like you can, but they don't want you having photographs.
Right.
And I'll tell you, one time
Right,
a
for some
photograph, just so you know, got posted. The Atlantic County Correctional Facility where I was visiting our friend, and after that, it was all of a sudden you couldn't bring crap in. I mean, the hammer came down as a response because there was on social media a picture of, you know, it looked like it should have been Windexed or something. You know,
Well, if the guards can bring
No
phones
big
in,
deal,
you
yeah.
know, and give them to the inmates, I don't see why you
Yeah.
can't have them on the other side of
no,
the
well,
glass.
because they don't want them used. The phone isn't the issue. The camera is that they don't want.
Right, but you got
Pictures-
people. You got people in
pictures
jail
being- yeah.
posting videos of them making music and all kinds of stuff. I mean, the guards are bringing the stuff in for the inmates.
They don't
Yeah.
want us to
Money.
see Ed's cancer, that's how it's ravaging his body right now. They don't want to see that. They don't want us to see that because they're abusing him in jail. He is. He's being abused.
Is there a? I mean, is he losing weight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good. Doesn't
Yeah.
feel good.
Well, eventually,
Free the
Press.
weed man.
when he goes to trial, all that becomes known. It's not like they can keep him out of public view forever. Yeah.
How many days has it been?
Over 180. And they
Has
added
it?
6
yeah.
months?
Yeah.
And they
it's
added 60.
total or 20
60
some, then 60 some, or then 40.
100 plus 60? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They're saying some of that time didn't count.
Well, it's because he changed lawyers
How?
or something. What
Because he changed lawyers.
Yeah.
What?
Really?
He didn't change. He didn't choose.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
his lawyer
Yes.
quit on him.
Right.
Doesn't
right.
matter. That's a
That's-
a loophole that works in their advantage. It's probably the kind of thing that would actually hold up in a court of law, which is where it's gonna be. However, this is the kind of thing what we can do for Ed is to make sure this is known, which is what we're doing right now.
Trying.
But beyond just here, to take every opportunity to say, no, actually, they're proving Ed right. They're proving a lot of people right by playing the game this way. And I don't even like that phrase. It's not a game. It's a man's life. So it's total. It's not necessarily victory for somebody when they get to yank his chain like that. It's up to us whether it's actually a victory for them. And I always use Gandhi marching up to the British, and when they said turn around, and they said no, they got the crap beat out of him in front of the world media, who was for the first time was 37, 9, something in the late 30s, and that's when it all started. So who won that? The British, who were all powerful and beat the crap out of him and turned him away? It was not their victory in the end, and that was because that was the design. That was why the confrontation was. They just walked right into Gandhi's trap.
Lost the battle, but won the war.
Yeah, so it's sort of like that. If you can take what's going on with Ed and say, make it cause damage.
They're already causing damage. I ran into a girl yesterday who used to frequent the joint, and she said she has some issues, and they pump her up with all kinds of medications, which she says she hates. And when the joint was open, she was coming there and medicating, and she said it was working for her. And, it was a place. It was like when she came there, it was like therapy to her, and it was keeping her away from the pills and everything. And I seen her yesterday, and she was so asking about Ed and what's up with the joint. Is it going to open back up?
It will.
And
That's one story.
She was
And
telling me how she
that
relapsed.
means
She
there are
relapsed to
others.
cocaine
Yeah.
because not being able to go to the joint.
Oddly enough, that makes it everything it is in another / treatment center of
Right.
sorts.
Yes.
Therapy room.
Yep.
Yeah,
You can almost
place of
call it
peace.
that. I used
Friends.
to disagree
like
with
friends.
people. I'm talking about back in the day, a long time ago. And they say, actually, everybody's a patient. They don't even know it. And I'd say, well, see, that's the kind of stuff that pushes people away. And it turns out, the reasons it helps people, there's a pill for that same purpose. So when somebody uses it basically to get high, you delve into it, and that's what relieves their stress. Now, there's pills that do that as well, and they'd rather do that than the pill. So is that medical? Well, if they're not a patient, some would say, oh, well, it's not medical, but it is. It's off-label use, or whatever at the moment. And then it turns out that's why people use it. It benefits their life. And
There's a better quality of life.
and having fun is not a bad thing. When did feeling good become something to avoid at all costs?
Right.
And when did that become a bad side effect?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, that's what's good about here. Even on an off day when there's no legislators here, we have the place to ourselves. Just right phone call, somebody stopping by, the right words of wisdom sounds good. Snip it out of the stored version, string a few together. Zippity doo dah. Bob's your uncle, Jimmy Crackcorn, I don't care.
So does that mean we can set up the badminton court?
No, well,
If you want some attention, yes.
You couldn't set it up. You could have people, take 4 people just for 2 to play. But, again, it's sort of like I don't want them to feel like it's, if that's what somebody wanted to do, I wasn't going to say no. Originally, when I saw Tony setting it up, he goes, go ahead and take it down. Like that was the expectation. I said, no, I'm coming over to give you a copy of the permit. So like if somebody tells you to take it down, at least I know you're going to, with a smile, I got a permit.
Right.
No, you got to take down. Okay.
And she did smile.
And actually, in that permit, there is something that says no stakes. It's written in the permit. It's right there in what I gave him. And while I have read the whole thing, I almost was hoping that when I got next month's Thursday permits today, that there'd be a conflict, because this is the only game in town here. With the State House under renovation and the governor down there, and we're not allowed to get a permit for there. However, I'm pretty convinced by what I read in the permit that you can hang a sign over the wall at the edge of the museum. It has 2 buildings, the museum itself, and then the one that houses a small, what is it, an auditorium? It's not a
library?
No, there's 2 buildings right there, but
The library and the museum is right over there.
Well, the library and then the museum is behind
in
a
the back.
smaller building. That first building is the library.
That's the library.
No, right in front of the museum?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What is that building?
Well, I think
it is an
that's
auditorium.
that's just, they got so many seats in there for whatever they do. But my point is just past that, there's a sidewalk, ample room, suggesting walk here, an area that looks to be probably a smoking area where the railing goes down so far, concrete, nice wide, you can set something on it railing, and then there's stairs down into the parking lot of where the governor's office now is. So you couldn't really probably go walking and hanging out down there. But it does say in the permit, it defines Capitol grounds and the areas adjacent, and says that for holding up a sign or handing out leafleting, we're allowed. So I'm pretty darn sure we're allowed to simply hang a sign over there.
So we're going over there next. We're going to go check it out.
I might have to release that sail. Seriously. If it starts moving that bottom clip over there.
It is.
Yeah, if you undo that, it'll stop. Yeah. It won't blow on anybody. It'll be a good visual. Watch.
It's a great sign.
Yeah, it is. Now, see, that is something. It wouldn't be the message, but I believe we could also have a banner made up.
Well, we have a couple banners still over at the joint in the back.
But what we need to do is hold signage towards the office of the governor having to do with cannabis needs to be part of the opioid
We
solution.
have a banner that says legalize cannabis now.
But it has to be directly related to the opioid epidemic, the #1 health issue that the governor's point man on for New Jersey and for the country as well. So the fact that he's already
I don't think he's qualified for that position.
No, I don't either. But then again, he's, he is in that position. So, be that as it may, what we need to do is take away his plausible deniability and make sure that where he drives in and out, there will be signs linking the two. The American Medical Association, their 2014 findings in states where people can use cannabis for pain, they have 24.8% less opioid overdose death, both illegal and legal combined. 25% less than states like, say, us right now, where you can't get it generally for pain, although that indication should be added if the Commissioner of Health, Kathleen Bennett, does her job and approves what the Medical Marijuana Advisory Board recommended. 43 petitions for new indications, mostly come under the umbrella of pain of some sort. So expediting that would be a good thing. The health department needs to be taken on a little better too. People need to know that that solution, when the comment period is over, I believe the 22nd of September, starts a 6-month clock ticking that Kathleen Bennett, Commissioner of Health, has to say yay or nay to implementation of those recommendations. Delaying that in a case where she's going to say yes only denies relief for the time it takes her to say yes. So I've already suggested to her in my comment to her, to the health department, what I think of the recommendations. I'm not going to say you should okay this one. It's should okay everything that the panel of experts recommended you okay. That's why they're experts, and Kathleen Bennett's clinical training is 0.0. She has no clinical training at all. So why would she need to do the homework on their recommendations? Saying if you're going to say no, say it now. If you're going to say yes, say it now. You do not need 6 months. That's arbitrary. That's a period of time that gets written in, so you have time. But this is something that she's seen coming. These were recommended over 2 months ago now, maybe almost 3 months ago. She should know. She should have already done the homework. She should be doing it now. She should be ready. And she won't. But they need a stiff reminder somehow. So I was almost hoping that we got bumped one time here next month, because I would have tried to negotiate with the health department the okay to gather where we did once previously, but we never podcasted. I'm not sure if we got electric there or not, but if we didn't, we could have had considerations.
You could do it out of Lefty's truck again.
Yeah, we've done that. Hello, you're on the air with Sativa Cross. Can I help you?
Hi, Lefty.
Yes.
Hi, it's Kim. How you guys doing?
Hey, Kim.
Hey, Kim.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm hanging there, guys.
Good.
I called today because I want everyone to know that National Drug Overdose Awareness Day today.
Really?
National. I didn't know that.
Wait a minute. How come How come Christie didn't tell us about this? He tells us about everything else. He didn't tell us about this. What's going on?
Maybe we weren't listening.
I don't know. Well, yes, people weren't listening, but yes,
boy.
it's National Drug Overdose Awareness Day. It's a national epidemic. 142 people are dying today and every day. My son was one of them. 2 weeks ago, the president announced that this is a national emergency. Since then, 1,988 people have died nationally. More than Vietnam, more than guns or car accidents. Or every 3 weeks, people are dying equivalent to 911.
And more
We have been lied to.
More people are dying also than at the height of the AIDS epidemic in the 90s. At the highest rate of death per year, more are dying of overdose death than that even. So as far as if you quantified how much of an emergency it is by how many people are dying, this should be the #1 emergency.
Should have been the #1 emergency 5 years ago.
But, you know, see, Kim, the thing is, what I'm seeing is the low-hanging fruit approach that, well, let's do what we can to have less opioids legitimately prescribed. Let's do that. And then let's be able to get people into treatment by way of 28-day programs that their insurance would pay for. And as if, okay, not that either one of these I'm not saying is good or bad. I'm just saying that's like a base coat. It's a beginning. It's a part of a foundation. There's really no plans beyond that. And the fact that people will be going to treatment programs where you can't determine the effective rate even. I mean, of the last 100 people that went, what's the recidivism rate? There are no numbers. So I would have not even known about this if I didn't read in the paper this morning. I thought it was a Camden effort. They're actually doing something in Camden that made the paper.
Was Christie setting something up? Was Christie involved in that?
No, that's Camden, Camden proper.
I wouldn't think so. It doesn't seem so.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was the champion of this, though. I thought he was going to help us. No?
Maybe he didn't know.
Oh, Christie didn't know. Christie didn't know it was drug. Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Well, the nation knows because
yes.
I understand that they're trying to get medical marijuana for those on heroin and stuff like that because the Suboxone and the methadone and the government drug dealing is killing these people.
Yeah, and
if they could just use cannabis, which most of them and a lot of them can't because they're on probation or something like that.
Yeah.
And I've sat with them and they told me that if I could use cannabis, I wouldn't drink. They tell me they wouldn't even drink.
You know, this is something that needs to be spoken directly to the Department of Health during their comment period. That's a lot like my comment. I don't know. I think I put it up on the coalition website or Facebook thing, but it's very easy to leave a comment. And I guess what they're expecting is whether you support or don't support specific recommendations, but my comment was very much like what you were saying, that this is an important tool that's not being used in our efforts in New Jersey, or nationwide for that matter, and that we have a governor who hates marijuana so much, he's willing to let the effectiveness be less than it could be for our efforts in New Jersey by him never mentioning it. Now, one of the 43 indications the Medical Marijuana Advisory Board did recommend, one of those 43, was for opiate abuse, something, basically for addiction. If you're addicted, you would be able to, by virtue of the fact you were already addicted, be eligible for our program. But also as a preventative measure, just based on everything the American Medical Association says, if these recommendations were okayed and instituted immediately, by the end of a year, we would have as much as 20% reduction in our expected opioid overdose death rate. You know, it's
yes, I truly believe so. I believe that.
Well, it needs to be discussed. If it's not going to happen, it shouldn't be because it wasn't discussed. And if it was discussed, it shouldn't have been discussed behind closed doors. We do not know if that's part of the discussion in New Jersey at the state level. We do not know if Reach New Jersey even knows about this. And we know that Christie, being our president's point man for national efforts, had a study commission, an advisory panel himself, and my Congressman MacArthur was on that panel, and I do not know if it was discussed before the federal advisory panel. So what we do with our governor now should be of national interest, because if he's failing in New Jersey and modeling our national efforts after his efforts here in New Jersey, he's modeling it after something that's partial failure. And it's an incumbent upon us to make sure people know this. I mean, in the rest of the country. So basically anything that we can do to make headway with the governor could go beyond the borders of New Jersey as far as any kind of media interest, which would be the hope. And it's a very timely call. I'm glad you called with purpose today.
Kim, this is Lefty.
Thank you for taking.
Kim, I'm sorry about your son.
Hi, Lefty.
Yeah, I'm sorry about your son. Is you're calling from York, Pennsylvania?
No, I'm actually in New Jersey, but the folks from Not One More, which is for heroin awareness, and they do a lot of stuff up there. They're great people. It's heroin awareness, education, stuff like that. They do a lot of. They give away free. Vivitrol. They try to get people into treatment. So they do a big rally up there in New York. But they, they're celebrating it in New York. And another rally today at 4 o'clock. So just because, again, it's National Drug Awareness Day. So just sort of, you know.
Is there a?
But I thanks for letting me get that out there, because I know that you guys have the opioid and marijuana. It does save lives, and that's what we need to start doing, is saving lives, because we're losing too many of them. You know.
Yeah, my friend just lost a friend of hers last week.
Yeah.
19 years old.
It's just, and that's what's crazy is you think it was a younger crowd. It's not anymore. It's people. There's no age to it anymore. And so, but I know that a lot of them do say that if they could use cannabis as medicine, that it would work.
Well, in New Jersey, that may be possible sooner rather than later. And I hope
yes. And I mean, I believe that if we started here, like you guys have started everything else here, a pilot program, if you will, they'll see that, yes, this does work. With the vets and stuff. I know you guys, they finally passed it for the vets, and that's absolutely wonderful, because I have my other
for everybody with post-traumatic stress, it turns out as many veterans that have registered in New Jersey, there's a lot more civilians with post-traumatic stress that we don't really know, but statistically have registered. So, but you are correct. It is the veterans that got this done, not us. We helped veterans who took part on behalf of everybody.
Sorry.
So they were willing to beat the door down, and other patients were willing to understand that they counted every bit as much, but not with legislators. They count with everybody. It's facts are facts, and I learned that by being behind Cheryl Miller in a wheelchair. And when I started walking in by myself, I didn't count for crap anymore. I had no hammer.
Yeah.
So if it's about children or veterans, parents can get the job done for their children. Veterans can get the job done for everybody, and patients in general, when they take part themselves, have the access easier than advocates. Which is why, by the way, and I'm pretty happy about being public about it. Tomorrow's my third visit with a doctor who's a member of the registry, and I'll be sending my stuff to the Department of Health tomorrow, and I expect to be a registered New Jersey medical marijuana patient within a week or two. So it'll be even more personal with me, and I'm looking forward to that, although the fact that I really need it isn't good.
I had a couple kids. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll go. Okay.
Do what you got to do.
You got to go?
All right, Lefty. Hey, I love you guys. You guys rock.
Love you, Kim.
I wish I could have been there today. I got other things going on.
Thank you so much.
But I really do appreciate the plug, Lefty. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay. Take care.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gotta go. Who used to say that? George Wallace, the comedian? Somebody used to say that. Gotta go. Baby's kids. Anybody has the answer to that, call in and let me know. Otherwise, it'll drive me nuts. On the other hand, I found I can access information by just going to a voice recognition Google search and ask it any question. I am always amazed at how quickly I can find just about anything out. Well, you want to know something? Time me. I'm getting good.
Who are you going to for your doctor? If you are
no, I don't mind Dr. Medvedovsky.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
He is wonderful. The way of the 3 appointments all have purpose. It's not, well, we got to sit around and talk. I just sat through on the second one, basically, a PowerPoint discussion by somebody quite qualified to talk about how to use a dispensary, the different strains, the rules, things. And it was really weird being one of 5 people being indoctrinated where, they even had like a little, it says, well, it's kind of like a test, but there's no score. It's just want to know where people are. Yeah. So it's like, questions like how many dispensaries are there? 2, 3, 4, 5. May you carry your marijuana to neighboring states by whatever.
Oh, that's interesting. So they do education.
Yeah, well, but then they also know where you might need to know, and you know it all stays within them. But I actually learned stuff in that time. I mean, I learned stuff not by asking, just by going, I didn't know that, you know. And then I was able to add to the discussion things that were right up our alley, like where we are and when the new indications, you know.
That's what I was wondering, when the new indications are going to be put into.
Well, this is the curious thing. I think this is where we can have an effect. Although they reach their benchmarks late, usually, the system was they get the advisory board together, they announce it, they have a public comment period. Then after that, you get to start adding indications, and you submit petitions, and then, you know, then there's step by step.
Right.
But at this point, we're to the public comment period of 2 months, and
It's still going on right now, public comment?
I believe it's till the 22nd of September. I could be wrong about that. But the public comment period is when we need to muster people to comment.
Who do we comment to?
There's a real easy access through the Department of Health website. I found it. I wasn't even really looking for it. I know I posted it.
I can
and
look
I
it
could
up.
look at my Facebook
But it's the Department of Health.
activity law. Yeah.
And then it's the medical marijuana program.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
And their public comment period is a great time to simply say, this should be done as soon as possible.
People are suffering.
Yeah, and if what I said is something to the effect of, if it takes longer than we believe it should have, we will be needing to know by way of Freedom of Information requests how much time was actually spent on coming to the decision that needs to be made, and the entire decision is up to now one person, the Commissioner of Health, Kathleen Bennett. So whether or not she's the one that reads these comments, first off, she
like,
should
how
be
do we, what do we, like, do we make calls? Do we write letters? What do we do?
Well, what we do is, once we've either done it electronically, which is what I did just simply through their, website, an additional phone call would probably be appropriate, assuming there's a number to call.
Right.
But to find other individuals to do the same. Anybody that hasn't weighed in, once you do it, and see, you're already better at this than me. I should have had all these notes that I made to make it much easier for people.
No, that's why we'll put it together.
Yeah,
And
then encourage people through social media to do this, because this is actually where we can take part. We preach to our choir, and we just simply say the same things. Just
we really
what you
do.
would say, simply say whatever it is you want to say. It doesn't have to be eloquent, doesn't have to be long. Just say
something.
The delay statistically will be responsible for a certain amount of overdose death. Now, that statistical result, while not individuals provable to New Jersey, it's called a statistical outcome, what you could expect. And my point is if it appears it could be in that 125 savable people that by a 6-month delay will not be saved. That's a statistic, not specific.
Right.
However, if it wasn't 125, if it was 2,
one is too many.
Point is they're not going to argue the number. They're not going to argue the statistics, and the statistics are, I would put forth, would be those that we can get from the American Medical Association findings of 2014. That's where 25% less overdose death than was expected happened, in 25% less in states that had medical marijuana law before New Jersey, which meant all those states allowed it for pain. If you were taking
Pain.
opioids, you could get medical marijuana in those states. How simple would it be? We have the toughest opiate law in the country. Now, that sounds like we're doing something.
Yeah, what does that
Well,
mean?
the toughest opiate law is a little tougher than New York's, which had a 7-day barometer, where we have 5, that if you now had a reason to go to a doctor and with pain that he might prescribe an opiate for, he can only prescribe 5 days worth. If you're in a hospital being sent home with an opiate prescription, you're only going to get 5 days worth of whatever. Then you have to go back to the doctor physically for an examination for him to go any further with that prescription. I don't think that's a bad thing. I understand the inconvenience for people who can't get around to have to physically go back. That's who it's going to have an undue hardship on. However, it seems to be a sort of appropriate active step towards making sure there's not overprescription. Now, at that point, though, they go back and the doctor's like, well, obviously, you just had both arms ripped off in a
Right.
in a thresher accident,
Right.
and I know you have pain, so I will. But at that point, he should be able to say, now, by virtue of me re-upping your prescription, you're also allowed 1/8 of cannabis at any dispensary. It should be that easy.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah,
should be
yeah.
that
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
That here, and he writes that up, and that could be acceptable. See how easy that was?
Hand in hand.
But what we have is, okay, by virtue of that, you can now go through 3 doctor visits once you find somebody to take you as a doctor, if you have the money to pay for
Right.
those visits. And the time it's going to take to get your card, guess what? You're already going down the avenue. They say, well, I'm going to start getting my extras on the black market while I do this. This is what happens.
It's insane.
So
yeah.
I'm saying the same thing you're saying, and a lot of us are, is we need to do this sooner rather than later. This is very, very time sensitive. With actual, I will accuse the Commissioner of Health of causing undue death, of death that she could have prevented
Easily.
by seeing it coming. You know, you see it coming. There should not be 6 months worth of delay in her decision. There shouldn't be. And
I just don't understand why it takes so long. Like, how many things does she have on her plate right now? She, like, you know.
who knows? And I hope she has good staff, because the fact is she needs people to translate to her from medical reasoning to layman's reasoning, because she's a layman when it comes to this. Well, maybe not anymore since she's been on the job. But, you know, she got her job. It was a connection. It wasn't she came up through ranks. It wasn't that she worked at the health department for so much time she knew what was going on. She was, whichever Bennett she was married to, he was, I believe, he could have been the, I don't know, Secretary of Education at some point. Could have been the guy with the gambling problem. I'm not sure.
Oh,
One
no.
of the two Bennetts.
We don't know.
But
We don't
no,
know.
but you know, it was not really a job I thought she was suited for, although she was probably capable of not screwing it up too bad. But with this, I don't know. She's had a firewall between herself and everything else. It's the medical marijuana program. You would go to that director for certain things. But this comment period, we gotta. You think there's going to be thousands of comments? There will not be. There's
really
going to be
isn't.
hundreds at the most. So if we could stimulate a few dozen more, yeah, that's going to make a difference. And if they're geared towards how long will this take? My God, I heard it could take 6 months. I know somebody who needs it now, and they should be. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to be eloquent.
You shouldn't be a criminal right now for something that, you know,
Yeah.
if you really, you know.
Well, for being an unqualified patient.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Which is what I've been referred to myself as all along, an unqualified patient, thereby risking arrest and confiscation of my medicine. What's that?
Do you have the pass?
No, I'm going to, and the question was, do I have my card? And not yet.
It's in the
Daniel.
works.
But I will be. No speaking off microphone. If I.
One.
With all, no 1, 2, no check, no anything. I'll get it.
1, 2, 3. Don't you dare. 1, 2, hello. Don't
That's
you
it.
dare.
No.
Don't you dare.
No 1, 2, no check. No, none of that. No, say onomatopoeia 3 times or something.
Say the Harvard sentences.
No, that's what I used to do when I was in a bluegrass band. Yes, a bluegrass band. Well, that's what got me $50 a gig in the 70s, and it was easy to play. But what happened is we had new equipment, and nobody that would never go through. But it has the p sound, onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia. You know.
Yeah, you ought to go in and tell them that the pink alligators you keep in the basement disappear every time you smoke marijuana.
You know, I wouldn't have thought at first that was a reasonable statement, but it actually kind of is if you get by the pink alligators.
All right, Danny, what's the meaning of life? Tell me right now. Give me the meaning of life, because I know you know it.
Well, you know, actually, he's making what is
unripe bananas.
I knew it.
He is making a regulatory statement of sorts. I like to say that basically, if there was a rule enacted in where I live, in the community where I live, that you're not allowed to have an elephant on your roof, you can't say, look, there's no elephants on anybody's roof. This rule works. You know, I'm just saying when it comes to regulations, that actually made that sort of sense.
It does.
And if it helped you not see something like that, there are reasons, hopefully, going to be able to get into the program where that actually would qualify, because there's somebody that was very prominent in the field of psychiatry on the advisory board. And that's why anxiety and things like that in general were also recommended. So, yeah, and if seeing a pink alligator in the basement caused you anxiety,
Right.
and this stopped you from seeing the pink alligator, it would stop your anxiety. Boom, you're in.
Suppose.
No. I think we've had enough supposes. We'll try one more though, because
Try
Dan,
one more.
you got your hand on the button.
Dan, you can't afford to get cannabis in New Jersey, can you?
No.
Can you afford it? Why can't you afford
You
it?
got your hand on the.
Why can't you afford cannabis in New Jersey?
I don't have that kind of money.
How much is it?
I heard it was 500, but lately I've been hearing it's down around 300, which is almost street prices, isn't it?
Almost.
I think. Yeah.
Almost compassion there. Close to compassion. Getting there.
Is it good though? Like, is it worth 300?
Dispensary weed?
None of it should be costing that. Compared to gray and black market.
Do they still have mold?
Probably.
See, the thing is, you hear that, and you know, if that
Are they
was
still using flash
no,
jars?
if that was a problem, you know, they actually do problems like that pretty quickly, because you know it's in their own best interest to do that. It's there's not a lot of choices where people go get their medicine. For a lot of people, it's the closest. For some, it's the closest is not the one that they want to go to. But I do like that I can go to the coalition page and many others in social media where there's people that are able to freely discuss because they're legal and they can talk about what works for them. And with the PowerPoint thing I got at my second of 3 visits on Tuesday, actually was very informative on what different strains and indica dominant or sativa dominant and to what degree what they might be used for and what people have said, because they fill out survey cards at dispensaries and sometimes, and some doctors do have people fill out you know, if they feel like it, a card for what works for them. And it's becoming more categorized where you have an avenue to start. And, you know, for me, it would be a nice sativa in the morning, get things cooking, skip second cup of coffee if it's the right strain. And pain after dinner, I'm going to go to a heavy indica, and the one that people say, well, you don't want to do this if you don't want to sink back into the couch. I'm like, sink me, come on, you know. And the beauty of the inhalation route is you can titrate how much you want for that exact moment. So I'm a big fan, have been for, well, a lot of years. But now I know why. I didn't used to know why.
Science.
Yeah. You know, it's I didn't know the old wake and bake actually had one that would be better in the morning. You know, it's like
That's the thing too. People don't understand that different strains do different things. People don't even know there are different strains. It's just all marijuana. You know, that's how people look at it. They don't know that there actually are certain strains that are for certain things.
Yeah, when I say back in the day, I mean back in the very early 70s would be the day I refer to, when people would say, yeah, this is laughing weed. Oh, I got some sleeping weed. And I'd be like, come on, you're all crazy if you get tired or you laugh. There's no laughing weed. And I did not know that they were right. You know, that there was something, well, that gets you there, and this one gets you a little more stupid.
Jim.
Yes.
Do they have it in giggle strains?
Giggle strains.
You know, I don't know that they refer to it as a giggle strain, but there probably is some feedback that you could figure out which strain that would be. You're giggling right now.
I'm offline.
We had a sound
Lefty
effect.
stepped on my
What's the
throat.
date and time?
Do it again.
Oh,
Nice.
He's on the button. He's on the button.
Small doses.
Our show has to make everyone happy.
Who isn't picturing Jax right now that was here that day?
Oh, yeah, Jax was great doing
He
that.
loved that.
That was great.
You know, he was just really enjoying
We were
it.
going Jackson, Jackson, Storms.
Never had headphones on. So
Yeah, it was in stereo. It was crazy.
yeah, it was great. Well, it was good. I mean, he was smiling, laughing, and
Yeah.
carrying on, having a good time.
That's what he should be doing.
Yeah.
I've seen him laying in hospital beds, all wrapped up in, with his head wrapped up with all these probes on his head, in a friggin' bed for weeks. He should be out playing like he was here with his dog and running around, splashing the water. That was great seeing him do that.
Yeah. And, you know, seeing the video with Tuffy chasing a butterfly was great.
man.
And there's so many things of,
Yeah.
when you know them, it's
Yeah.
really close to home. But even if you just see a before and an after on YouTube of somebody and the direct effect it has, and it's really a small amount of time in many cases, it's, man, it just seems like it wouldn't be a fight at all, you know? And yet here we are showing up on a day when nobody's in session to keep the regularity alive, be the conduit, the gatekeeper. You know, gatekeepers, they're every day, not just when the gates are supposed to be open. Yeah. Well, that was always, you know, back, okay, I spent from late 1990 until maybe 97 not knowing anybody else in New Jersey other than Cheryl and I who advocated for this. And there were people who had and things going on. But I mean, there's a period of years, advocated all, and it was, that's what we always felt like, well, we'll be the gatekeepers then. We will watch over everything as best we can, and when the rest show, we'll have something for them, you know? And that's pretty much all we got to do. But that's what I feel like that's what we're doing now. We are the regularity that other organizations don't need to have because it might not be as life and death for them. When it's your job, and your job is life and death, I understand that. And people come out, and they gather, and they protest, and they state their case, then they go home, and they don't come back. You know, and maybe some, the ones who really get results, they come back individually, they make their appointments, or maybe they had appointments first and came on one day. I've seen that happen with women's concerns, where places full of pink t-shirts, I mean, everywhere, right where they should be. And I'm thinking, yeah, now that's better than just coming out and having a bunch of stuff set up and going home. But us, 88 podcasts, 21 gatherings before that, this is our 109th police permitted Thursday gathering. 109 since 2014. It's our 88th podcast.
How many? 2,000?
No, since 2000. See, that's the big
2,000
number.
podcasts.
Yeah, really. No. Let's see.
Really? Wow.
If once, yeah, that because we'd have to hand that ball off so many times, you know, 3 or 4 apocalypses would happen. Stuff would go on. Things would become extinct, and we'd still have podcasts to do.
Were you saying that there wasn't anybody else involved with medical marijuana?
Right.
But you guys?
Yeah. Is it? No, when I say that, there was New Jersey NORML wasn't real active then, and they had been, but that even really wasn't so much about medical at all. It was just one patient, one caregiver with, it's like being out in the woods and giving a bird call and no one answers because there aren't any.
We don't have a NORML anymore, right?
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
they're not that kind of active. I think they hope to revive
They're just waiting.
now and then. Yeah, they're not dead. They're just sleeping.
Most of them go to college anyway, right? They're college students.
No. Well, they start at it's even there used to be a Students for Sensible Drug Policy at Rutgers that had a voice some years back, and you would think even that would carry on. But my point is, one day I did go in and see a headline on a newspaper or a couple about an MS patient speaking up about medical marijuana, and my first reaction was, we haven't contacted anybody. It's been a while. It's been months. I mean, since anybody came to our door or we contacted anybody. Turns out there was another MS patient. We'll call her Sally. We'll say she lives in wherever. That's how the story went. And then a picture of her from a 3/4 behind view in a shrouded, so you couldn't recognize her. That was the other advocate who did not use her strength, the reality of who is she. Here's what I look like. Here, and that's why Cheryl had such success, being the example. But that underlined what I was talking about, being a gatekeeper. She may have known about Cheryl, but still never got in touch with us. All the help I got would have been from people in Washington or some people I knew in Florida. But that's why I walked across the state in '93, to try to find like-minded people. And that's actually where I did. It's where I met Pete Christopher and John Pease, who were associated with New Jersey NORML.
Really? That was during your walk?
1993. No, Pete or John got in touch with me, and John Pease did the faxes, sent out some faxes so the media might know about the walk. Huh. And then Pete and John took me over to where I was going to begin the walk, and in Seaside. And so they would know how to tell people where the walk would begin and the press release. And awesome, a press release. Holy crap. I'm going to have a press release. And all I was doing was walking across the state, pushing a wheelchair with a sign on it. It took 25 hours.
I met you at the near the train station. You were coming down Clinton.
No, that was when I delivered my petitions walking across the state to run for New Jersey
You're
State
a busy
Senate.
guy.
I've been across the state 4 times.
I still
You
have
got
my
good
moment
shoes.
of glory.
Wow.
Though,
Yeah.
right? I'm still in glory because I made. I'm
Yeah,
like,
but,
it's cool though. That's heavy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, but that was what had to be done to draw the press out, and that's why I did that 25 hour. Actually, that'll be 25 years on May 25th.
Was that a stunt, Jim?
Yeah, May 25th. What's that?
Those stunts?
Absolutely a stunt. A shameless stunt. It was really funny. A guy in a Volkswagen van who sounded and kind of looked stoned. I was on Route 9, and it's like a traffic was going slow, and I heard a horn beeping. Hey, man, you're on the radio right now. Hey, wait a minute.
Wow.
Like all this, because I'm not on the radio there. On WOBM, they were replaying an interview with me, but they made it sound like, with us now is Jim Miller.
Yeah.
So he's listening to this about, the guy's going to walk across, because I talked to them just before I started out. And then it was that he didn't get it at first, and I'm like, what a pothead, And, but that was that I would get here, and people would have wondered all across the state, what's a wheelchair with a sign that says medical marijuana for multiple sclerosis, and then a sign on my back that said from Seaside to Trenton, so they'd know why.
Wow.
They wouldn't know. I mean, in the middle of my walk, they wouldn't know to say wow, because I'd just be some guy with a sign about medical marijuana in a wheelchair. When I got here, the media was here. There was television cameras were present. When I got home, and ABC played their snippet of the news of the walk and had footage of me walking in an interview here. As soon as that was over, I got a call from Brenda Flanagan at UPN 9, said, "Why didn't you tell us?" "I've been telling you about this for years. Don't tell me I haven't been telling you. You know, you all didn't come out. I did it because nobody was coming out." And she goes, "Is there any way we could come over and do a story on you and Cheryl?" Well, UPN 9 had more viewership than anything. This was huge. So I said, yeah, and she's still there, and this is going to be like 25 years ago. They did like a little mini documentary with the violin music and stuff in the pan. You know,
you did it. You accepted the interview with you and Cheryl in the house, like they say.
Yeah, it did, and they made it such a tearjerker. It was amazing, and it was fun. We had people over. Too many people for one room, so in Cheryl's room, the other room, watching because it's going to be on at 10 o'clock, and it was on after, what was that show? It was on after one of her favorite shows. So we're watching what she'd normally watch, and then at 9:15, tonight on the news, and there's her face. Oh, look at that! Holy crap, it's you right now. And then it, and then when the news came on, 15 minutes, nothing coming up, and then this was the story they were drawing everybody to the news for and making you wait. And it was 3 minutes, and it was like the house was like silent, and it was like, holy crap, did we just see that? That was groundbreaking. 1993, didn't meet anybody after that till I met Gary Sage in 99. An advocate.
Wow.
I met him in Philadelphia.
What about me? When the hell did you meet me?
Somewhere between...
In there, between them two.
No, I think it was after 98. And it had to be after 98 because I wasn't doing anything with Pete.
Oh, really?
Until...
I met you at his house.
Yeah. No, that would have been like somewhere around probably 2000, maybe. 99, 2000. Yeah, somewhere around then. Yeah, that's... I mean, it's like virtually the same time. You may have been the next person I met.
I met John Pease
after that.
With you. I met you with John Pease.
Yeah, Pete had a thing over at his house one day where John was there, but it wasn't that. So it's going back a ways.
Yeah, man, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. I'm not saying cannabis affects that's your short-term memory. This is the stuff that should be locked away.
For PTSD patients, your short-term memory, you don't want your short-term memory for a lot of PTSD patients.
Short-term, long-term.
Or long-term.
The trigger points.
Forget that shit.
I'm gone.
Forget that shit.
There is a reason to forget stuff.
There is. Block it out.
And why? And what do people do to forget? They drink and do anything but forget.
Drinking sucks.
Nothing.
But it's legal.
I forgot something, but now I'm angry.
People don't go to jail. Unless you
I am looking forward to my first legal consumption of cannabis in my lifetime, and I'm 65.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It is.
I know.
Do it on the podcast.
Yeah, please.
Please. Pretty please.
I couldn't do it right here, though.
Well,
it
we
wouldn't
can take
be
you to the
legal
smoking
here.
area.
I have to walk past the Cuspillich demarcation line.
We'll put the camera on you at the Cuspillich line, and you'll be good. Yeah. Good.
Well, I will.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. You deserve it. I've seen you walking with your pins in your legs, and I've seen you running last week for like the first time in years.
Yeah, when I had the external fixation device in the foot in the wheelchair, that was gross, man.
Oh man.
Uh-oh.
Wait. What happened? What just fell?
I think he's got some toilet paper stuck to him.
Okay.
Probably the headphones. Gets many of people with the headphones.
Yeah.
Let's get you now and then, too.
I've gotten it. Now it's your turn.
I don't think I ever have, but I got the tap once or twice where I'd start to get up and you do that. Oh, okay. Thanks, It was your equipment. You wouldn't want to let me do it for a laugh if it was going to damage something,
No, it's not that funny.
Yeah.
When it's your equipment, you got to pay for it. It's not funny. No.
That's what I'm saying.
Not intentionally.
It's
It's like your bottle of weed. When you drop your bottle of weed down, you think
That's
it's funny?
so terrible.
That's not funny. That's hurtful. I dropped an $80 jar of weed and I got arrested for it.
Nobody ever thought that was funny, though.
The cop did.
No, I saw the reaction. That's not the reaction of a cop thinking something's funny. I was there. They did not think it was funny. Nobody there thought it was funny.
It was bad.
Nobody thinks it's funny now.
Situational awareness was really bad for the officer. But the situational awareness of the prosecutor is even worse. Come on, man.
So what would be the proper recourse? He would just simply decide not to prosecute.
Yeah, say apology and sorry, Lefty. And
how about no apology and no prosecution?
All right, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm just saying I try to find people's dividing points. You know?
Why am I being prosecuted?
Well, no, the thing is, it's the end game. It's what is the end game is always my question. In other words, where would you like this to end? And it's sort of like with me, it's like, well, I'd like to be rich or have money in my end game, something. And you may not get there, but it's still, I'd like to know how realistic of an end game and what people are willing to accept.
I want to talk to the Attorney General after all this is done. That's my end game. I want this to be the catalyst for the Attorney General to get involved and do something about this problem.
You see how, on one hand, it helps accomplish that because now this is going on. On the other hand, your style is something the Attorney General and many other people would say, I'm not going to meet with this guy. I don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to meet with him for?
Right.
What's he going to do then?
Nervous?
What's he going to do then?
I make them nervous.
No, well,
why is that? What do they have something to hide?
Well, let's just start with. I would go in a suit. I would go in a suit and tie, and you'll go like that. Now that's the initial as I walk up to the door. No, I know, and I understand.
Never again will I get dressed up. I was told to dress up for that friggin' rally.
And you know how good you would have looked in a jacket and tie on the ground.
Oh my goodness!
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes.
And now, wouldn't that have drawn people in? A guy with a jacket and tie on the ground? Now, come on.
Yes,
I mean, I know you don't want to say, and I don't either. No, I'm just saying that
along
if you
with your screaming
we're
in a suit.
okay. Yeah, well, see, the screaming and being in pain can actually be explained away in retrospect. And the way I do that is I tell people, you've been to hospitals, right?
Yes.
And you've heard people screaming out there.
Yeah,
What happens is while they're being
horrible.
treated and their lives are being saved, they're going and swearing at people when they get the pin taken out from traction, whatever. It's the pain that makes them react like that.
There's a lesson here.
So I'm
Lefty,
just
listen.
saying that ask anybody that works in a hospital about do people lash out and swear and scream just because they're in pain, not because they dislike you or have an issue with you. It's like that's part of their job. Therefore, they understand that. They don't all of a sudden call security and, hog tie you. I mean, which would have been a police way of doing something. What I'm saying is the jacket and tie, man. The coolest picture I got is being led away by the police when I got arrested at a George Bush rally. And it was in the Camden Courier Post. And it was when all these cars were leaving that couldn't get into the main thing, but they saw their hero land by helicopter and waved at him. I was walking out with cars from a parking lot that was blocked off other than this one entrance to the road. I was not allowed to leave, although I know I should have been. So I had my cool sunglasses, my first suit ever.
Oh, wow.
I looked like a G-man. I looked
better
than
do
the
you
guys.
Own a suit?
Yeah. So what happened is the picture was I had my arms behind me. I was being escorted out, and when the camera got in position, I pulled my hands up behind me. In other words, he was holding my hands down by my spine.
Right.
I lifted him out about 8 inches as if he were pulling them up. You see the optics of it all? Boom, there's the picture. I'm my suit's getting all like this because I got my hands wrangled behind me and I'm walking by and I looked awesome, I also looked like I didn't belong.
Can you post it?
Yeah, I will. I didn't belong in handcuffs. That was the optics. So what you got is you got the optics you have. The pain gets explained away pretty easy. The taking it personal with Scutari normally wouldn't have. Let me finish. Wouldn't have.
Here we go.
You got up.
Here we go.
Wouldn't have repercussions.
Remember, you're going to be quiet.
That affects.
Listen, Lefty. Listen.
I don't watch Survivor. You get a whole bunch of people. You got groups for things going on. But when one person does something that affects the rest of the people on the island.
Island, you're affecting the island.
They're gonna take me out. Come at me, bro.
Okay, let me put it in more unpleasant terms and be more specific. Then I was trying to make it one of the more smiley things. What I'm saying is,
you just can't help it.
There's things that you might be doing that go against the end goal of things other people.
So
are doing.
is Scutari. So
yeah.
is he.
So
And
is
he started it.
Okay.
He
Wow.
started
Wow.
it. He started it. He started
Did
it.
not.
That's so grown.
Did not. Come on.
He unfriended me. He unfriended me on Facebook. He's a big baby.
Did he block
Okay.
you yet?
Yes, he's a big
Okay.
baby.
So what I'm
And
saying.
who
blocked
did Lefty
each other.
block?
So
They blocked each other like little
then
babies.
you very.
We need to start a
What a
board
child.
of
Thank
everyone
you.
that's blocked Lefty.
Thank you. Thank you.
He has a list.
And thank you
actually.
for.
He
Yeah,
does.
we need that.
He
Okay.
has his program.
So here's the deal. Can I sum this up for you and
Yes.
make it productive?
Please,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, you're letting the personal get in the way of the good of the rest, the good of the whole. You are. You're. I'm on a smaller scale. I'm not
Okay.
saying it's going to blow it out of the water. I'm saying your personal way of doing this is going to affect others. Just it
How?
will.
How? Just let me know how. I just want to know how.
They're
You're both going for the same
It-
thing.
okay,
it
You should be
alien-
going
I
together.
agree.
okay.
He's
It's not
even
just.
aware.
It's not just Scutari. It's other legislators that will be less apt to want to come on the podcast, and we're trying to get them on the podcast to bring people in. There are, I don't know how Tim Eustace, Assemblyman, if he should be talking with Nick Scutari, and what about that podcast guy? And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I got to give you ways it could happen, and if there's enough ways it could, means one of them will. I mean, 10 to 1 against 20 different things, that means 2 things are going to happen.
I'm very nice if you're nice to me. I am the sweetest guy if you're sweet to me. If you're an asshole to me, I'm going to be an asshole to you. So that's very simple. Life is simple for me
That's
now.
exactly
Black and
what our
white.
president says when he. Let me finish.
I love
when
that.
he
I love when he does
protects
that.
his protects his daughter's. He's being chivalrous and going, "You attack my family, I'm going to attack you." No, not if Kim Jong-un says something about your family. You don't send off a nuke.
Yes, you
No,
do.
you cannot. Well, you could. So you understand how our president
Listen, Lefty,
operates. He lets the
listen.
personal dictate what he does.
Yes.
But one thing you
Hold
do.
me back. Just hold me back.
Let me give you, in the middle of all this, how I defend you with everybody is saying, you are the person I know most in advocacy that I would rather, the person I would first rather disagree with, because we can have the conversation, you and me, and it will not affect our friendship. Or it hasn't so far. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that we've gone through a lot of, we overlap, and we like to stick where we overlap.
Sure.
But where I'm on, 2 circles overlap, when he's all the way over this side of his circle and I'm on that side of my circle, then, but we can have the open discussion, and
Well,
you do let me say what I have to say, and I try to do the same for you.
How do I fight Scutari? How do I fight him?
See, pragmatic question. Now, this is something I cannot do with other people that I am more aligned with. When we disagree, it'll be defense for the sake of defense, because I'm right. That's kind of what's in their head, but they don't say, because I'm right, it's, let me defend this. You're like, how can I do it? That's the right question. So, it makes it all workable. That's why we can work with our overlap. Now, I don't have a great answer to that, but I think it's like the end goal, if it was to get to the Attorney General, we shouldn't give that up. That's why I'm trying to incorporate other patients to simply go through their legislators while you and we do what we do. I mean, we overlap with them now. I don't know. I would see, is there somebody that could... Would you want to talk to him, or make sure...
I tried.
Make sure that there's a point that you could get to him and know that... Well, he's not going to want to sit down with you, maybe.
He doesn't know who I am, though, maybe.
Did you say, can I make an appointment?
Yeah, how
I
did you
did.
go about that?
I did. I went to his office.
Were you
He drove.
kind and polite?
He drove right past me, waved at me. I waved at him. I said, "Oh, he's coming over." I grabbed my camera. He went through the back door.
How about this? Find a constituent to make the request for you. You probably know somebody within his district who's a constituent. He's up for re-election, too. He has time to be meeting with people.
Yeah.
If it's especially a first-time constituent request, to say, I know Lefty Grimes, and I think this is an issue, or I'm a patient, or I know other patients included, whatever, and I'm a constituent, I would really think you would want to have a discussion with Lefty. One, if he goes shock jock on you, you win. If he...
No, we both lose.
No. Listen, if he keeps his cool and you start getting out of line with him, he knows he's going to win. He's going to sit there and smile at you, going,
make an appointment.
Thank you
call
for
right
that.
now, make an appointment. Call for Lefty.
Yeah. No. Well, no. I'm not the guy to
We're
do
not
it.
a
I'm not a
constituent.
constituent.
We need a constituent.
And it wouldn't necessarily be a call so much as because call gets knee-jerk reaction from people. They're going to say no quicker than they're going to say yes. Once they say no, they're not going to change their mind.
What's the best way?
The best way.
Email?
The best way it'd be email. They have time to think about it, or hand deliver a request when you get to a door, to hand deliver it, dressed in a suit.
No, I'm not taking off my Sativa Cross shirts anymore.
I know you're not.
I learned that lesson.
You can wear it under your suit.
No, you didn't
Open
learn
it up like
anything
Superman.
because
Wear a blazer
the
with it.
lesson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put the
What
sativa
about
cross on the
if he
back of
wore the
blazer.
suit? What about if he wore a suit on the ground? You've seen a picture of him. What if he was in a suit?
I don't think it would have. I
No.
mean, I get what you're
It would-
saying,
it
but
would be
On the
mo-
ground, don't shoot on white. Come on. Come on. Really?
No, actually, in one picture, it looked like you were in a straitjacket. Remember that?
It looked like I was in a
It
gay
sure did.
porno.
gay porn.
And I'm sick of all the gay jokes. All right, I've
Yeah.
had it with the gay
It's
jokes.
the bong.
Enough.
Ever since you got that bong,
Enough.
I'm telling you, you need a new bong.
I'm
You
on
need
my
a new
knees.
piece.
It's disgusting. I'm on my knees around a bunch of men.
I'm just saying, when you
He
look
likes it.
more like them, whoever them is, they
Right.
tend to drop their guard a little somehow. It's optics.
I mean, I want to drag them down with me. That's where I'm at, Jim.
Well, that's what other people are.
bad.
That's what other people are worried about
Right.
that are going
So
the same way as you.
Can
They're
they
gonna
talk to
drag-
Scutari? Talk to him for me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there.
What
Jim.
would you say to him?
Leave me alone. I'm a patient. Stop
He probably
torturing me.
doesn't even know this happened.
Right. So, what can I say?
So,
I will.
so why don't you ask
I'm not
him
gonna.
for help?
I'm not gonna bitch up. I'm
Ask him
gonna
for
fight.
help.
I'm a fighter. I'm gonna keep fighting. So stop me from fighting. Give me a reason not to fight this guy.
Well, fight like Gandhi
'Cause
did.
you're fighting
you know?
for the
he
same
won
thing.
that. You're defining winning and losing in
They're
really
taking
narrow terms.
$500 out of my pocket, Jim. I don't have $500 to give to the government for breaking an $80 jar of my medicine.
You don't think if you did a fundraiser to pay for that after what you've done that you wouldn't get $105 donations? I think people, after the fact would take care of that, but you would also then be publicizing. Weed Man's losing everything right now,
Yeah,
except for
he's
what
not getting any money.
No, but what he's winning is he's the one who is the hurt party.
Yeah.
And right now, without him acting other than a hurt party, and you hear people are understanding this man is the hurt party, and he's when it comes out and it's his time, he's got that, and people don't give him due sympathy because they don't see his cancer. They see Weed Man being Weed Man.
Right.
Now they're going to see his cancer. They're going to see he's thinner. They're going to hear it in his voice. He's going to be the beaten man. He's going to be beaten down. Weed Man beaten down. His cancer kept there. How many days after they did all that? That's what he wins. They're going to eyebrows will raise now that never raised for him
Jim,
before.
you know how many people thought I was faking it till I showed my pictures of my X-rays and my stenosis video? And they were like, "Oh, you are really hurt."
Probably heard.
Oh,
Did you not hear me sticking up for you? Well, ask Michelle. No, I was very, very vocal about this is real pain. You're a real patient.
Oh, I heard you in the video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was in pain, dude. When they lifted me up, that was it.
Yeah.
When they lifted me. No.
Well, that's a helpless
No.
feeling for those who would like to help you. But right then, me being Jim Miller, I want to say Jim Miller, that's more where we overlap, By me acting out like that, it would have not helped at all. It really wouldn't. All I could do to help is to throw out sound bites that other people might have.
You didn't want to clothesline one of those cops for me? Just want to take one out for me? No? Never crossed your mind?
No, the best I could do is when the guy moved me back and I said, I'd like to say you're welcome, when he said thank you, and he started turning around and say, but you're not. And then he kind of pulled his gaze back like he...
Oh, you're being a jerk to me. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I'm just saying that
You're one of those.
There's really
You're one of
nothing.
them.
There was really nothing else to do to help.
No.
And
You were helpful. You were saying the right things, and you were telling the cops the right things, but they weren't listening.
I'll tell you what, though.
Oh, my God.
You want to do something for your own fun, I'll help you get back in touch with Channel 12 when they talked about you and how the status and whatever. I did an interview for them, their camera guy, and I explained it to them. And they not only found none of that to use, that's okay, that happens all the time, But the reporting indicated they did not know what I told them. They had a scoop. They knew who you were. They knew why you were there. They knew you did not do this on purpose, because one thing I can tell you about Lefty is Lefty don't throw his medicine on the ground.
Who would? Like, that's
No.
so,
No,
like...
but trust me, when you know Lefty, there's, you know, this is something that saves his life. He has reverence for it. He needs it. He wouldn't
absolutely.
waste it, and it's just bad form, you know. So, yeah, all that. But you're where you are now. You know, do you have it down, a succinct statement of what you would like to make sure Prosecutor Scutari knows?
That it was an accident, and I'm sorry that this whole thing happened. I really am sorry. It was a horrible situation for everyone involved. The officers need to be more aware of this law, and it goes to the Attorney General. They need to disseminate these guidelines to the cops so they know what the hell's going on. The cop should not have taken that joint out of my mouth. He should have came over and said, "Can I help you with your cannabis that you just dropped on the ground? Can I keep the people away from your cannabis that are grabbing at your cannabis and taking it?" That's what I need.
No, you just gave, I thought, the most impressive summation of anything I've ever talked to you about since I know you.
Oh, wow.
That if you were able to say that to Senator Scutari, might have the desired effect, because none of that is pushing people away. None of it. And even when you raised your voice, that was righteous indignation. That wasn't unwarranted anger. There's a difference, and you went just perfect.
Yeah.
So I would suggest this. And this is not why you said that, and it's not why I'm talking about it, but take this segment here, put it on YouTube, so that, just this segment, so that it can then be attached and sent to his office. Because you just said what you wanted to say to him, right?
I sure did.
Okay, good enough. Then let's try to get that statement to him.
All right.
All right.
See you in court.
So how's
And believe me, we are not slick enough to be putting this on like, hey, let's do this. We are not kind of slick.
how's your tours there going, Lefty?
And we got people who vouch for us.
My wife-
Jason, are we that kind of slick?
How's your tours at Linden Police
My
Department?
tour, I was
Yeah.
70-0 until I went to Linden. 70-0. I was
70-0.
pitching a no-hitter.
And it was the first time you deviated from
Yeah.
going up to the police to ask first. So what does that tell you?
I better ask permission from
You-
now
you
on.
gotta ask permission.
Oh, I'm not going to ask permission
that's
anymore. No more permission.
No, you
We sue
had
them.
the right.
Oh, yeah,
You had the right formula. You were.
That's what that means.
If anything, you proved the way you do it when you
Yes.
go
No,
up to
but I
them
proved
is
why
the
we do
correct
this.
way.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. But you
Ignorance
also
is bliss.
showed what happens if a patient gets surprised or whatever. It's almost like an example of what we should be able to avoid.
Yeah, any other patient would have probably had a heart attack.
Yeah,
in
I
that
would have. I
situation.
would have had a heart attack. I would have been dead.
I'm pretty tough. I could take a lot of pain, and they tortured me.
Hey,
That was about 10,
pain-
15 minutes of torture.
Yeah,
Oh,
listen.
I wouldn't have been able to lay there on the sidewalk like that.
It was awful,
Yeah.
Cindy.
It was
I
very
was-
hot.
I was-
It was
oh,
very
yeah.
overwhelmingly hot.
Oh, my God.
You can't see a person's reason for having pain in many, if not most cases. You know.
Yeah, I look healthy.
Yeah.
Well, so do people with PTSD.
I know.
Like, I mean,
Look, I look healthy, but I'm in a hospital every other week.
Yeah,
dying.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You look good today, though, Cindy.
Right. Thank you.
You know what my medical marijuana doctor, Medvedovsky, said when, because, you see me walking, and when you don't see me limping or carrying stuff, when you see me medicated, and he was like, so what? And, he wanted
Is that
to
how he sound?
he wanted to know what he's getting back in medical records from the doctor.
Are you doing a Medvedovsky impersonation? Go ahead. Let's hear it.
No, I'm not going to do impersonation.
You
anyway,
so
but that-
Medvedovsky.
well, what he
Medvedovsky.
so anyway, listen. What happened
Yeah.
was I was wearing sandals. I did like that. And
Oh,
that's what he that's kind of what he did. Okay, he didn't do that.
You have to say Russian.
Put it away.
accent.
No, but he did fall back and he's a neurologist. He's in pain management. No, the
gross
point
you out, too.
point is yeah, if that was something you could see, and I said I was a patient,
That's
you'd
awful,
go,
Jim.
okay, dude.
That's enough, really.
But
It's
you
awful.
can't see your pain. You can't see people's scars below their shirts. You
No.
can't, Cheryl, you could see she was wasting away to nothing in a wheelchair, couldn't move.
Well, look at people with neurological problems and brain trauma. I mean, I actually have that, believe it or not.
Well, we believe it.
Cindy.
Hey, I got Tourette's too. I
Come
can't help
on,
myself.
that's called
Well, that's about to
called
be on the
T-ball
list.
where I come from.
Tourette's hopefully will be added this year.
Cindy, we love you. Welcome to the show. You had a meeting with Cory Booker,
Oh, yes,
one-on-one.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes,
How'd that
it
go?
was awesome.
Yeah, what's
well,
up?
I didn't realize he chose me. I've been chosen.
Ah, yes.
Yes. I don't know if it was the marijuana tattoo that he really liked or the fact that I stood out in my tie-dyes and my holy jeans when everybody else was dressed in suits and dresses. But he wants me to be his advocate. So he wants me to help him with this. And he wants me to gather as many people and as many stories as I can to help him get his bill passed. Because he says with the amount of people that we have, that we can get together with the veterans, Project 22, all the coalition, the New Jersey cardholder program. I mean, everything.
That's
we
the
just
first time I've seen a don't
Yeah.
shoot, I'm running away shirt. First time I've seen one in action. That's looking good.
So,
That
with
works.
with all the different
But
groups
run,
and all the
man. You
different
can't
Run, Billy,
walk
run.
now. You can't walk anywhere. You got a sign that says I'm running away. Hustle.
He's
Yeah.
shot. He got shot already.
Well, you need to make a new shirt now.
Hey, man, he's representing.
Don't shoot, I'm
That's what he's doing.
walking away.
He is representing.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I will
what he's
walk
doing.
away.
Don't shoot, I'm
So
disabled.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Now I got brain fogged. Let me see. I got brain fogged.
Cory Booker.
Yeah. So
Is he hotter in person than on TV?
oh, he's very affectionate. I got a nice big hug.
I
Yeah.
bet you did.
He's a very affectionate man.
What were you wearing?
Tie dyes.
Tie-dye, she already
Oh, he
told
likes
you.
tie-dyes.
He does. He likes tie dyes. And no, he just he liked my, I guess, attitude. I guess, because he's big up in the government, they had to do a little top secret.
Or he's afraid of you.
He might be afraid of me, but
No.
I'm sure they've researched me and see that I basically devote my whole life to this.
That's what'll
Yeah.
impress him right there.
Yeah. And they asked if I wanted to do this, and I said that I would volunteer every spare moment I have to help get it done.
Then you're here
Nice.
in that capacity now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
well, that means you're on the job as you speak.
Now we want people to send in their stories, come down and talk about their stories.
Well, where do we, people,
Yeah,
want
where are we
people to
sending the
just
Well, I'll
stories?
tell you what. They're going to be somebody from the government's going to be getting in touch with me.
the man.
Yes, and they said that they're going to set up a link on Cory Booker's site. I'm not sure what the link is going to be yet. He said something about send your stories, Cindy Ruggiero, South Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do this. He's calling the webmaster. So there will be a link put up where people can just send their, because I told them a lot of people, instead of stories, they have web pages. And there's lots of sites that have, these people that have been saved by marijuana.
Yes.
And where marijuana
That'll-
is
that'll
helping
work,
children.
yeah. Yeah, that works too.
So if we get all that up on his site and we send all this stuff and have all these people behind him, we've got a great chance of getting something that's impossible done. Now, the Republicans don't want it. The Democrats are willing to step on board with this. So it's not just a liberal thing, Mhm.
Hey, you want to keep that baby quiet? He's coming
Yeah,
coming through the
yeah, yeah.
speaker. Hey, hold on.
Now,
That's the only
here-
baby
here's
I
a-
actually think is cute.
Here's
in
a-
recent
yeah.
years. Okay, you know how much crap I get for saying I don't find babies cute, and now I'm being proven wrong. I mean, it's like I stop what
Now,
I'm doing.
You do have a
know?
little girl there, right? I was making sure it wasn't a boy in pink because you don't want him to know what he is. I mean, that's a new thing now. Don't tell him what he is.
Oh, yeah.
Let him decide.
It has a gender.
It's a her. She's a her. She's a
It's a
her.
girl.
She's a her. So
For now, she's a
for
girl.
now,
Okay.
she's a girl. She might change her mind when she's 2. And if she changes
so
her
mean.
mind when she's 2,
You guys are so mean. She's gonna watch this podcast in 12 years and be like, "What are you doing? What's the matter with you?
Yeah. Well, she's ruining.
Idiots! I hate you all."
She's ruining my reputation here too. You know.
Okay. So anyway,
Cute babies.
I have
No
some
such
more. I have some more interesting stuff that you're gonna love me for, Lefty.
I love you already.
Canasense.
I love Canasense.
Canasense is fantastic.
It's your medical cannabis card from Canasense.
Yes, and a lot of people think
What
that
is
they're not
Canasense?
legit. We can actually get a California license and a New Jersey license. And because we have a New Jersey license, we can get a referral from a doctor, and we can get a license through Canasense. Now, to ease everybody's fear, and so nobody's, thinking that they're illegal and doing things, under the table. I invited them out here. They're going to be here next Thursday. They're going to be sitting out on a blanket with us. They would have been here today, but they have children. So, Canasense.
They won't have children next week then.
I guess they won't have children next week. I think it was Neil. And so they're coming out, and they're going to join us on our blanket next Thursday. They're going to hop on a podcast, and anybody who wants to call, anybody who has any questions, anybody who wants to meet them, you can either come down, you can call in, but watch our show. You're going to be very interested in learning that you can actually order your medicine from California if you're a New Jersey patient.
How's that work?
I'm not sure. They're going to come out and they're going to explain this.
Sounds against the regs to me.
It does. But if it is true and they're willing to come out here, well, no doubt.
We're willing to entertain the
They are coming here. And so they're willing to get on the podcast and put their faces out there.
Yeah.
So they're going to explain everything and how it is legit.
It would be good podcast. Now, I don't know enough about this, but if there was people that would say, "Oh, that can't be," and I'll tell you why, I'd just soon have them here too.
Yes.
To have
the
discussion.
Peter Rosenthal.
Yeah.
Peter Rosenthal. Is that
Rosenfeld.
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure how I pronounced that.
Even a call-in.
Yeah, because he was, doubting it was legit, and they got right up there, and they said, "No, we are legit. Please
they
don't."
said that in a
block
back
us
and
out.
forth on social media.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The idea of actually having that conversation, that's good podcast. That's constructive.
Oh, yeah.
It answers questions, and maybe there's somebody want to call in if they have a question for either as well. As long as we know, and of course with Peter, one thing we know is he's Mr. Pragmatism, and he is so good about how he presents an opposite point of view. He is the kind of person you'd want. He's gentle. He stands corrected when he is corrected.
Yes.
And whether he doesn't put up defense for the sake of and if they're going to do the same or either way, it'd be good. It'd be good.
I'll tell you, that's why I haven't blocked him yet. I mean, he's trolled me quite a few times.
Well, see, the thing is...
and we've had our dispute, and I've my proof.
You know how many people I've blocked or defriended, unfriended?
Yeah,
None,
yeah,
ever.
me too.
No,
Oh, God.
ever. I have never unfriended or blocked anybody.
I just friended Bob 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I did warn somebody last week that they're stepping into they will be Jim Miller's first unfriending. I don't even know how to say it because I've never done it.
Defriended.
No, well, that would be it. That would be the one that I would always have to say I unfriended and who it was.
Let me also...
But I won't say because he pulled back.
Here's... I got 100 people I've defriended at least, including my mom, and then she friended me back, and then she unfriended me because she said that she seen me with a marijuana cigarette on Facebook. Oh, God. God forbid. So, anyway...
Was she your friend on Facebook then?
She was, and then she wasn't, and then she was, and then she wasn't.
I had my dear mother as my friend. I'll tell you what, though, having my mom as a friend, she's passed on now, so I have no moral compass anymore. But when she was my friend, I actually would not say things the way I might say it sometimes. Everything. I mean, you look at everything I've ever said in the last 5 years on Facebook. It's not like I hid stuff from my mom finding out. But it's just phraseology. I'd write something that would make me laugh. It was sharp. It was witty. It was a slap to somebody's face. And my mom might see it, and she wouldn't like it, so delete.
I started putting
look out now, though.
The most derogatory things after my dad died 3 years ago because he couldn't kick my ass anymore. And I got ostracized.
So I should be a patient by next week, perhaps.
You should have been one already by now.
I'm telling everybody.
I also want to share.
I should be a patient next week.
I want to share. I got something to share. I judged the Cannabis Cup last weekend. And Cannabis Kush won.
Cannabis Kush?
No, Conspiracy Kush. Sorry. Conspiracy Kush won.
How rude to name your strain with the word cannabis in it. Yeah, that'd be cheating.
That would be cheating. No, it is Conspiracy Kush.
Yeah. Conspiracy Kush.
Yeah, I like it.
I kind of like the name.
I do like the name.
What are you, smoking some Conspiracy Kush?
Conspiracy Kush.
Oh, you think that's what's going on? I'd like some of the Conspiracy Kush.
So
this is good.
I was at the...
How do you like? Do you like the Conspiracy Kush?
I liked the...
Did you have any?
I liked the Mulberry Kush strain better. It was real
Really?
That was so good. Yeah,
Mulberry.
Bob judged the cup too.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were in New Hampshire, Cannabis Freedom Festival. It was fantastic, even though there wasn't a lot of people that showed up, because Tom Brown was also holding a separate New Hampshire cannabis. What was it called? It was called some other name, but it was basically they were together. And then Rick Nye and Thomas Brown kind of split up because of differences. They each were having their own festival. Tom's was 1 week before Nick's, and Tom canceled his. Everybody thought it was Nick's too. So, or Rick's, Rick Nye. Everybody thought it was Rick's that was canceled also, so a lot of people just didn't show up. And then afterwards, they were saying how it was canceled, or they thought it was.
Getting a call. He wouldn't call if he didn't have something to say.
You're on the air with Sativa Cross.
Hey, Lefty, what's happening, man?
Mark, where you
Leo
were. Cindy.
Bridgewater.
Make a note where you were, so
Yes.
we'll get back.
Yes.
Leo, I've seen you all over the internet lately. You've been really busy. What's going on with you, man?
Hey, this is everything that you see happening is all the things that we've been predicting for the last year and a half, right?
That's right.
Everything that you're saying shouldn't really come as a big surprise. And so that's what's been going on. How you doing, man?
I've had better days.
I understand. I understand. I've seen. But there's some really exciting developments going on when it comes to the cannabis front here in New Jersey.
See that?
With getting everything, positioned for New Jersey to go legal for adult use pretty soon.
We want mom and pop cannabis, Leo. Mom and pop cannabis.
Yes.
Hey, Leo, this is Jim. Thank you for calling it.
Jim, what's happening, man?
Not much. I'm doing pretty good. You sound good. But I just wanted to say thanks for calling it adult use rather than recreational. It's not that recreational is a bad portrayal, but I got to tell you, when you called it for adult use, it just sounds
it does.
right, because it's not for adults playing games.
Yeah, it's not controversial.
It's not really like, well, let's play some Parcheesi, because it's recreational.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying, it caught me off guard, and not every time, but now and then.
Well, do we say recreational alcohol use?
No, actually, we don't call it booze because that would be bad. We call it spirits, and we have weed or cannabis.
Well,
but amongst social, I'm a social. I say I drink socially. That's what people say. Do you drink? Well, I drink socially. So it's like, do you smoke marijuana? Yeah, I smoke socially as well. Plus, my
Correct.
feelings. People smoking cannabis often sit in a circle facing each other, and people drinking kind of line up at a bar often enough, You can't even see the other end of the thing, And
see, the thing is that
we share. Let me have some of your beer next time and say, can I have a sip? No. But you can share my joint because we're social.
Well, one of the things that you have to understand, and we've talked about this, is optics and the use of verbiage. And when you leave the door open when you're saying recreational, that's leaving the door open for groups that are talking about children. And, the other night I listened to someone say, so what's next? Lollipop, we're going to be giving kids cannabis lollipops. And I'm saying to myself, this is a controlled substance, much like alcohol.
Yeah.
And if you are handling cannabis in whatever fashion, I hope that you would use the same sort of carefulness with cannabis that you use with alcohol.
Yeah.
So why would you leave your cannabis hanging out where kids can get it? It's the same thing as saying you leaving your beer out there for kids to get a hold of it.
Or your prescription pills, in an unlocked medicine cabinet. Yeah, where do people put their prescriptions? In unlocked medicine cabinets. Generally.
Well, the thing is that
kitchen
again,
sink.
But the thing is that alcohol is not helping anyone. Alcohol is not helping relieve pain. Alcohol is not a exit way. In fact,
I used alcohol to relieve pain last week, so I actually did that, but it had side effects that were so not what I wanted.
Pukey?
Well, I was asleep when I wasn't supposed to be. I seriously used it because I was having pain and I did not have cannabis.
So you needed the
I actually did it. I did, and while it worked for that short term, it just like messed up the rest of my day because I could not carry on like I would have if I had had some cannabis. So.
Yeah, and how much damage did you do to your body by consuming that alcohol?
In the long term, certainly more than having a vape, or whatever. I choose that when I can. But.
Exactly.
But I will be. I'm gonna be one of you guys. I'm gonna be legal in a week to two tops.
Amen. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Hey, third appointment is tomorrow. Stuff gets sent out.
Welcome to the failed program.
Yeah, right. They're picking on the
fact,
wrong guy.
That is something that is definitely something the New Jersey Cannabis Commission is actively looking to take on as far as the revamping of the New Jersey medical marijuana program, because like I said before in the past that Christie's disdain for cannabis is definitely reflected by the operations and the running of the New Jersey medical marijuana program. And so when you look at the taxation of medicine, when you look at the way the program is being run as far as its efficiency, it is definitely running that's indicative of his feelings. But the good news is as a state, we have largely flown under the radar of the cannabis industry as a whole. And because of that, it's afforded us the opportunity to really take a good analytical approach to how we want the New Jersey cannabis industry to look. And we use the historical documentation of the industry in states like Colorado, Oregon, California, Arizona. We look at, not Arizona, but California, Oregon, and we see the different holes. I've spoken at length in the past about the underrepresentation of Black and Latinx.
That was my question in Colorado. Is that a problem with states already with existing law?
Well, Jim, let me ask you something. Just think about this. There are thousands of dispensaries, owners, and growers in the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah.
In total, nationwide, there are only 8 dispensary owners throughout the nation, African American.
Well, let's use that as a cautionary tale in New Jersey.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we've actually, in New Jersey, we have seen the way other states have bumped their heads and now have a bigger problem when it comes to dealing with minorities and viewing us as something other than just consumers, because that's what we are to them. It's just consumers. And so since the state is getting ready to go into the adult use side of things, we're going to nip this issue in the bud before it gets started.
Good.
We are not asking for a place at the table. We are taking our rightful place at the table. This industry was built on the backs of people who look like me, and now we are going to, and in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So now it is time for us to rethink and change the way it does, and New Jersey can actually take the lead in showing how robust of an industry this can be.
I got a question
so
for
long
you.
as there is, sure.
Do you see a place for what would be referred to as, affirmative action, that if the war on drugs and especially the war on marijuana affected people of color disproportionately, the reparations, including first call,
Well, this is the closest we'll get to reparations.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I
lifetime.
don't like the affirmative action as a description. I'm just saying I think it would be fair to have first call go to those who are most affected by the improprieties of the war on drugs. And I, as a what am I? A person of non-color? I'm not white. Okay. I as a beige person for the most part of the year, certainly would be in favor of that. I really would. It's not something I think that would get pushback. I think it's something that would help the process along as a selling point, actually, from everybody's point of view.
Yeah, but you know what, though? You're not uninitiated when it comes to the cannabis industry and the cannabis world, period.
True that.
You know this. This isn't this subject matter. This subject and the idea of cannabis legalization has not been has not been taboo for you. You know, this hasn't been taboo for you in over 20 years.
That was appropriate.
What was that?
I was just marveling over my appropriate use of true that because somebody was laughing at me here.
Yeah, the thing is that, you know, when you look at going with the state going, moving towards moving towards adult use.
Yes, sir.
You know, this is a brand new conversation for a lot of people.
Yeah,
the idea that historically in the cannabis industry, Black and Latino people and females being the most underrepresented demographic as far as ownership goes, this is brand new news for a lot of people who are brand new to this kind of talk. And mind you, this kind of talk was taboo for them just a year or two ago. So people to the train saying, we are way more advanced in this conversation. The people who are actually to help walk you through this, which is why I am such a big proponent of expanding the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act. It's a wonderful tool by which we can use to solve the whole idea of home grow when it comes to S3195.
That looks like it could be what some would refer to as a back door, but it's a door that was already opened in 2009.
Yeah, but again, the use of verbiage is so important.
Yeah.
Because for people to think, for someone to classify expanding the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act to pigeonhole it into an idea of a back door, that tells you right there, they don't even realize what this is.
Well, that's why I refer to it as some people saying that. Yeah, they will be saying that.
Yeah.
So we need to be ready.
There are a lot of people. Yeah, and there are a lot of people who still think that moment you say cannabis or marijuana, the first thing that pops in their head is the Cheech and Chong image. You know, and then when I'm talking to people and in opposition of adult use, the only thing they think about is, well, I don't want kids smoking this and smoking that, and it's just like, no, smoking is a delivery method.
Leo, I can't help what I look like.
2 nights ago,
I can't help my look.
2 nights ago on television, I watched John Harmon, who was president of the African American Chamber of Commerce, along with Jeremy Holly. He's an assemblyman somewhere out of North. They were on a panel, and the question was posed, do you think cannabis legalization in New Jersey will be to the detriment of the African-American the minority community in New Jersey?
Wow.
And John Harmon answered the question beautifully. First thing he said was, well, when you look at the Kennedy family, who was peddling alcohol during Prohibition and did so well that they were able to create generational wealth.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people in the minority community see cannabis legalization for adult use as a means of economic prosperity, which it really could be.
The green rush.
Yes, we are estimated the New Jersey cannabis industry is projected to be a 1.6 to 2.2 billion dollar industry. Not to mention another $950 million projection for ancillary businesses.
That's a serious rateable for the state right there.
Yeah, well, when you honestly, truth be told, Jim, I'll be honest, man, I really do think those numbers are low, but I'll go with them.
Yeah,
that's okay.
You can argue the
Because
case
when
with
you're
those numbers very well.
Yeah, and the thing is that when you look at what Colorado just reported like a few weeks ago, I think they said they collected like $500 million in tax revenue
so far
from 2010 to now.
Yep.
And they did those numbers with a population of 3 million people and 77 million visitors a
now,
year.
Did you know, I didn't know this till it became an issue, that apparently in Colorado they can only accept so much money for the state, and it might have been 100 million. And the first year, I believe it was, they had to look for ways to not collect more money than that. The problem was they were getting more, and they had an issue with their constitution or a state law or something like that. And it's the first time anybody ever heard of a state having a problem because they were receiving too much money for something.
Yes, the problem is that every single state in the republic has a cap of money that they're allowed to have. What cannabis did to Colorado is it pushed them over that cap. No state has ever made that cap. So this is why it was a brand new problem, because they never dealt with this before. And so every dollar that they are over, whatever that cap number was, every dollar that they were over, the state was technically breaking the law.
Yeah,
so what they had to do is they had to ask the people, can the state keep this money, or do we have to give it back? And the people wanted their money back. The people of Colorado voted to have their money back.
I'd like to hear
so
the numbers on that
reissue
vote.
that money out. Now, mind you,
who would vote no?
After,
keep your money.
No,
I mean, who would vote no? That should have been an easy vote.
No.
I mean,
listen,
when they put it up to a vote to the people, decide, do you want to give the money back?
Jim.
Yeah.
It's not. Who cares whether someone would or wouldn't? It's the law.
I do.
By law, they still have to ask, and they went through the motions. That's just I know it's a dumb question to ask, but because of the law, they still have to do that. They still got to ask. Now, mind you, they did the best they could to get rid of that money, which is why you have the Colorado school system doing as well as it's doing. Which is why you have.
Did they use any for the homeless problem? I've heard that the legalization caused a homeless problem in Colorado. That's one of the arguments against, and I would think that they might have hopefully started addressing that issue, so we can find out how to prepare for that, because we're following Colorado's opening the door hopefully next year. We're going to do that here, so I think it is good we can learn from how things are going on there. We should.
Well, this is why it's as far as the New Jersey Cannabis Commission is concerned, we have now we're moving under the foregone conclusion that Phil Murphy and Sheila Oliver will be the next governor and lieutenant governor of New Jersey.
Yeah, we need a plan B.
Yeah, well, but understand, and so
we were going with John. We went with John Corzine being governor 8 years ago, and we haven't recovered from that since. So eyes wide open with Phil Murphy, and what do you think about that? Do we need a plan B? I mean,
as far as like, you know what? No, because
I agree.
If you know, we are thinking on we as citizens of the state of New Jersey, we really ought to learn how to start thinking on a macro level and understand the significance of this next election coming in November, because we're not just picking a new governor and lieutenant governor. We are picking these are the people who are going to lead us out of into the recovery of 8 years of Christie. I'm sorry, the Christie Guandano administration. And the thing is that
the association.
When you look at this, and mind you, this is a funny time in time, because not only are we going to be picking a new governor and lieutenant governor, but next year on the local municipality level, which is really where it really gets hot, a lot of municipalities are going to be picking new mayors and city councils. And so what we're saying is that we need to not only pay attention to that, but we need to start preparing now for what the municipalities are going to be doing when it comes to cannabis legalization in the state of New Jersey. Every municipality has to start preparing for, what are you going to do with this money once it starts coming in?
Well,
where is it going to go?
There's something else going on that we are going to choose a new governor and lieutenant governor, but all 40 Senate seats and all 80 Assembly seats are up for grabs as well. So what happens with this Labor Day weekend begins the campaign season traditionally, and this is when they're out and about. And this is the year where we don't actually have to make cannabis an issue. It's going to be an issue in and of itself. Yet we can use that opportunity to get people to make statements that legislators they'd otherwise not make. So we have some plans for that coming up, though. Yeah.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Outside of Phil Murphy, Sheila Oliver, Nick Scutari, Reed Guciara, outside of them, what government officials or local officials have you heard speak on this subject? None.
Not of their own volition. Linda Stender, she introduced a bill for one of the children's thing. I think that was... I forget if that was because of the Wilsons or Jenny Storm. And others, Assemblyman Eustace
I like him.
Said to constituent Jim Price,
he's great.
Give me a bill. What's a bill I could author? Something. In other words, he wanted to take part in a cannabis-related bill. And I there's so much going on, I forget exactly which one it was, but it was fruitful. There are some, but it's a short list. You're right about that.
Yeah, and the thing is that's what I'm saying. I'm asking your listeners, I'm asking them, in your respective communities, what government officials are talking about this and who's not talking about this. Because when you are a year away from a $1.6 to $2.2 billion industry, or close to a $3 billion industry, when you're a year away from that, or less than a year, shouldn't you be talking about that right now?
Oh, yeah. Got to do prep work.
Shouldn't you be planning for that right now? Shouldn't you be pointing out where, because to be honest with you, I live right in the middle of Trenton, New Jersey, and we could use the money.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Trenton is not the only community that is faced with this. But you know what bothers me the most is that
really?
Nobody is talking about it.
It bothers me that's
not nobody, Leo.
You're
talking on it right now,
yeah,
and it's being broadcast.
No, Jim.
What? Don't make me say what four
times.
No. What I'm saying to you is when I say nobody's talking about it, I'm talking as a local citizen here in Trenton. Nobody in my local government is talking about this. Nobody.
Well, for now, I think I think you sound like you want to hit the ground running. So when you have the opportunity to push this along that you're ready, and that is the way things should work. Yeah, that's a good example for everybody following you. You have a long-range plan. You have an end goal, and that end goal is highly dependent upon work you do right now.
Yes, and to me, when you look at leader, you've heard me say in the past, you know, especially in Trenton has a quality of leadership issue, and you know the measuring sticks by which I say leadership that I'm using to determine what quality leadership looks like. Here in Trenton, you know, I've gone to the city council and addressed them. I've spoken with, you know, the mayor of Trenton. No one has said anything since. No one has contacted me. You know, no one's.
So how will you follow up?
I'm sorry?
How will you follow that up then? I know you, Leo. You're not going to like, oh, they didn't call me back, so it won't work. What's your next step?
Well,
I mean, you know,
as president of the New Jersey chapter for minorities for medical marijuana, and as subcommittee chair of minorities with the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association, and co-founder of the New Jersey Cannabis Commission, it is my job to now start looking for possible candidates to be city council of Trenton and mayor, because I have constituents whom I need to speak with
and fortune
and update them. Yeah, there are people whom I answer to too, and so they're wanting to know what's happening, what are we doing, and I have to report these things. And so I'm not just saying nobody's talking to me and then that's it, and nobody's calling me and that's it. No, okay, time to move forward then.
Leo. Yeah.
So now I have to start looking for.
Is that your military? Is that your military background? It just sounds like that's what you always bring to the table, an end goal, and you take that end goal and you work back to where we are now to know what you have to do. And it's a good example. I mean, it just seems like that's what gets results, and sometimes, or should I say almost never, as soon as we need those results, but when you realize that the end goal could take, but you're talking about an election cycle that has parameters already established time-wise. So these elections are not this year, but next year in November, or do they happen at other times of the year than the November elections?
I can tell you in the city of Trenton and in the city of Newark.
We don't care about Newark. What's up in Trenton?
In Trenton, we pick a new mayor and city council in June of 2018.
That's the actual election for voting for them is in June.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we are 9 months away from picking our next mayor and city council. And mind you, people, the last time the city of Trenton had an election, a local election for a mayor and city council, only 9,000 and some change actually voted.
Okay, for the mayor, what about for, is that also for each council seat? They get the same amount of votes?
Yes.
So
mayor and city council.
Now that's how many votes were cast. How many? So somebody could win a seat with 4,600 votes.
What? Yeah. Listen, Eric Jackson.
It's not a big number.
Became mayor of the capital. Eric Jackson became mayor of the capital city of New Jersey with just 3,000 votes. We actually had a city council member who got more votes to be on the city council than Eric Jackson needed to be mayor. And mind you, there were the last election, there were 58,000 people in the city of Trenton who were of voting age.
Eric Jackson?
Out of that 58,000, 38,000 were registered to vote. Out of that 38,000, only 9,700 and something actually voted.
Wow. So Eric Jackson, he's up for re-election?
Yes. Eric Jackson and every member of the city council. And then
Leo, this is it, Leo. This is where you can
get in there,
seriously
Leo.
have an effect right off the bat. Now, I'm not underplaying how much work it would be.
I'll help you.
You know, if I'm not like I'm going to be able to be a large amount of
I'll help you, Leo. I'll make you some videos.
It's do you have anybody in mind yet? for council? I mean, I don't want to know who it is. I'm just saying, do you have somebody you're grooming for June?
Yes, I do.
Are you going to
And in
run?
fact,
Are you
I'm
going to?
actually-
Are you going to run for city council?
No,
Okay.
no.
Mayor?
No, I'm not going to run for city.
I was looking for a scoop.
Damn.
But you do have, but you do have somebody you like. I mean, basically, if you could usher one person into a city council seat, just one. I mean, if you did that, that would be success by anybody's standards. Getting people to take part, whether they get elected or not, is its own kind of success, and maybe more important than the ultimate goal of getting somebody elected. So, you know, good.
Well, I
good
just want
for
you to know, it's important that you know that Leo Bridgewater is not looking for just one city council.
Hey, that's you.
I'm looking at all 7 seats. I'm evaluating every single member of the Trenton City Council to include, and I'm also evaluating our current mayor and those who would present themselves to be mayor. I'm not prepared to go public with I'm not prepared to go public with my support on any one particular candidate.
That's why we
because
don't
when
want
I
names.
do, I'm going to throw when I name who I name, I'm naming everybody all at one shot. Because see, what the citizens of the city of Trenton need to know is they need to be not be told, but you got to give them the complete list. Well, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way.
So it'll be like a list of
overnight.
would it be like a list of the team you would like to have elected to help steer Trenton in a better direction?
Hey, Jim, it's so deep. I got a picture of a voting booth, and I'm getting in the names so that when people go inside that booth, here you go. Vote this way, this way, this way, this way, this way.
Leo.
And we change the city overnight.
Leo, I want your help, and I think this is an issue you can help me with. I want to use cannabis taxes for a lot of things. One of the things I want to use it for is to teach inner city kids how to swim, because they don't have the opportunities that, like me as a white guy growing up, I had opportunities to swim. But I see that most kids in the inner city don't have these opportunities. And I think that PE classes and gym should offer that. And they should give vouchers to these schools to go to YMCA or go to the city's pool and teach kids how to swim, because it's a life skill that they really need, that they don't have. A lot of kids don't have this.
Well, let me ask you something. Are you talking about the city of Trenton?
Especially Trenton.
Okay, well, let me help you out with that.
They don't teach kids how to swim in Trenton.
Let me say this.
Do they?
You have
Do they?
you have the youngest manager in the history of the city of Trenton of a city pool. I was the youngest manager. I used to be the manager of Martin Luther King Pool right on Brunswick Avenue when I was 15.
What?
Yes, I was on the.
You're the person. You're who I need to talk to, Leo. I'm talking to the right person.
No, I was the youngest. And mind you, I was also a member of the Trenton Central High School swim team.
Oh.
I swam the 100.
I love Leo Bridgewater. I love you, Leo Bridgewater. I love you. Dude, how do we fix this problem? How do we get more kids to swim? How do we do this?
Well, first off, it requires a clear understanding of what's available. Now, truth be told, have you ever been to a Trenton City pool?
I've been to a city pool, not Trenton, though.
You need to go to a Trenton City pool.
Okay, we'll do that.
You know,
we'll do that.
Because the thing is
Come on,
that
Lefty, do your research.
it's really a directive that you really don't need to spend any money. You know, all you have to do is talk with the Department of Recreation, get with the managers there, get with the acting director of the Department of Recreation, and say you'd like to have an initiative put down where lifeguards who are there from early in the morning to the afternoon can hold swim classes. You don't have to spend money. We already have that infrastructure in place. We already have the means in place. We just have to offer the hours. That's all. We have to format the day to
I love
be
it.
able to allow for the teaching of swimming for young African American and Latino children in the city. Just the teaching of children. Period.
Yes.
But and I can think of a myriad of things that would be of a higher priority for cannabis, for money that come from the sales and taxation of cannabis, particularly on a local level. You know, again, we have in the city of Trenton, We have children that have higher lead levels than the kids in Flint. We have understaffed schools, under maintenance schools.
Oh wow.
We have a underfunded police department, you know, and also a lack of leadership within the Trenton Police Department too. So we also have a lack of leadership, quality of leadership in the Trenton Board of Education. You know, because it's not just about when we get this money, what we're going to do with it, but we got to make sure we have the right people in place to be able to do what they're supposed to do with the money. Because even though all this money is going to be coming in, historically, if you look at what Trenton has done with the little bit of money that they have gotten, hasn't been good. So if these people can mess up things with that little bit of money that they get from the state, what do you think they're going to do when they get a big amount of money? How much can they mess it up even then?
Big.
And these are all things that require a careful, thought-out plan that should be established, that should have been formulated long before June of 2018 comes. Again, understand these are the things that, you know, the New Jersey Cannabis Commission is working on right now. We are working on policy directives. We are working on educational initiatives. We, in the city of Trenton, we literally just got a tax reassessment. The city was forced to have a tax reassessment done, and for the first time in 26 years. So the New Jersey, and so we have businesses that receive these huge tax bills and are threatening to close, and a lot of them are closing. So the New Jersey Cannabis Commission is now looking at developing policies and initiatives to not only bring the cannabis industry into the city of Trenton, but hell, we got to figure out how to save the businesses that are here. So we're working on that too, because at the end of the day, Lefty and Jim, y'all know, no matter what your business is going to be touched by cannabis in some way, shape, or form. We all know it. Hence, Operation Broken Arrow.
Ooh, a name. I like that. No, really.
You remember?
Yes, I do.
Remember?
Yeah.
Remember, everything you hearing me talk about is all in conjunction with Operation Broken Arrow. Like you said, Jim, you know how I think in a military fashion and so forth. Yeah, this is what it is for me. You know, it requires, I can't be quick to jump every time somebody says something out the way. These are people that, one of the biggest mistakes we did as a military when it came to Operation Iraqi Freedom is that we did a terrible job of explaining to the people what change looks like and how long it takes. We did a terrible, terrible job because those Iraqi people thought one day Saddam gone, next day everything's good, America, and it didn't work that way. Don't go that way. And that was because we did a terrible job of explaining what change looks like. Well, we are in that same kind of position, but right here in the city of Trenton. And so in order to facilitate this in a way that's responsible and that is good for the realm, it requires careful planning. It requires the identification of individuals who can move the city forward, because we have people in place who are not evolved in their way of thinking to move the city forward.
Well,
they're still using words like gateway drug. They're still saying words like dope when they're talking about cannabis.
That's
they
dope.
even still say things like the pots.
The pot.
And as soon as we hear those words, we already know how much we know
that
and
is
how much more we know.
It's double smash, smack, smack, smack.
He's on the pot. Yeah, right. Well, listen, Leo, we got Ken sitting down with us now, and Cindy was having some really good news.
Lots of interesting news.
Stuff going on. So we're
Are
going.
you talking about the great Ken Wolski?
Yes, he's here.
So
he just arrived.
Okay, I'll, make sure you let Ken know. Well, I want all the.
Well, he's listening now. He's got headphones.
I would like all the CMMNJ folks and anyone within range of my voice to please sign the petition that Ken Wolski has put out regarding cannabis and the state. It is very important. I have signed it. We are we're 3,500 signatures away. from being able to move forward with the initiative. I will hope that you get Ken to go into a lot more detail than I can, but I have signed that petition. I have shared that petition, and I invite everybody, all of your listeners, to please, and watchers, to please sign the petition.
Ken's our news director, man, for crying out loud. He is our news director, so it sounds like he's going to direct a little bit, and then we're going to let Cindy finish what she was talking about, because there's stuff going on all over.
Yeah, and it's Overdose Awareness Day also. So remember, it's Overdose Awareness Day, and it's an awareness day nobody's aware of. There's a little bit of irony. Good job, Christie, making us aware of opiate aware. What an idiot Christie is. What an idiot.
Yeah, well, listen, I got to get ready to go, but I want to give a real quick shout out to the members of the New Jersey Cannabis Commission, Ronnie Soto, Tiana Long, Shalice Rogers, and Kim Burns, and also the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association. Of course, to you guys, and just keep your eyes and ears plugged out. We are mobilizing, guys, and listen. Just so you know, we are starting to come on to, remember I said we've largely flown under the radar of the cannabis industry as a whole? Well, that is changing. We now have the attention of the industry. Yeah. And so it's paramount that we are prepared and mobilized and ready to move forward, with the initiatives in which CMMNJ is talking of, and what the New Jersey Cannabis Commission is talking about. Okay?
Yeah, and this is all going to tie in.
All right, guys.
We're going to have Jason tell us about next Mill Hill Park, and I think this kind of all ties in together. We'll be doing some voting, voter registration going on, too. We're going to work out ways to...
you talking about Jason Arnold?
Yeah.
Oh, man, listen.
He's here,
Jason
man.
Arnold
He's listening.
And Phil Charles.
He's right here.
Jason Arnold, Phil Charles.
Laura's here. Their whole family is here. Yeah, she's right here.
They are... When it comes to the cannabis community here in the city of Trenton, those are your straight up go-to people. That's the authority. They are the authority in the city of Trenton when it comes to the cannabis community, and they are doing awesome things on that front.
I see some similarities between Laura's approach and your approach. They're both with your military background. It stands out. It's recognizable. An end goal, and then working back to where we are and what do we need to do along that timeline, and who needs to do it and in what order. So we're going to let Ken get to the news, and then we're going to have Cindy finish. And I want to make sure that before we go anywhere that Jason or Laura sits down and tell us exactly where we are for what's up with the next Mill Hill Park, and is there anything we need to do to help prepare?
Yeah, the We for Warriors project under Laura Carter's leadership is in really good hands. There's a reason why she's president.
Yeah, I'm liking the way it's working out. All right, well, thanks for calling in, Leo.
All right, Leo.
June. All right, guys, you have a good one.
All right, take it easy, bro.
See ya.
Thank you, Jim. I just wanted to let you know that I just heard that the public hearing is going to be held at the Department of Health on Monday, September 18th at 10 a.m.
Monday, September 18th, 10 a.m. Public hearing.
Yes.
Where?
At the War Memorial.
At the War Memorial.
Yes.
Damn, I can't make it.
So it's just published on the Department of Health website today.
That's the day Jimi Hendrix died.
It is.
September 18th, he died, yeah. Choked on his own puke. I'll be choking on my own puke in Linden that day.
So, okay. So the 18th, see, that's what I'm talking about. On the 18th, that is going to be where they're going to take your comments but not necessarily respond.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but it is a good way to get on record.
It is the public hearing.
And it gives you the chance to look them in the face.
Right.
And address sometimes to one person in particular or not.
Yes, exactly. And,
it's a good opportunity.
Course, I mean, it's a good opportunity to thank the panel for, for agreeing that so many of the petitions should be approved.
They did approve a lot.
I think that's a great.
We can make a great case for why time is essential here.
Right.
That delay means misery and death.
Right,
literally.
exactly, and to urge the Department of Health to speed the process along. I think those
they realize
those are the main points that we need to make.
Maybe
at this
I'll
point.
just read what my comment was that I had made during the comment period.
That was a very good.
It was
comment.
to the point, you know, and basically we will be able to attribute statistical death to a delay. Now, it's not real people, but we will be able to come up with a number that if we say it's 125 people didn't get saved because of the delay, they could argue 5. But there will be a number of people that will delay
That's
equals.
sad.
That's a fact.
I'm not sure that argument works, though, Jim. You know, I tried that with the needle exchange programs when I was.
No, court of public opinion works every time.
I like that better.
I don't care about them.
Who cares about them?
I don't care what they think.
The public is more important.
You know.
Well, anyway, so that's the big news for today. The news also is that CMMNJ is going to have a booth at the Ewing Community Fest on the grounds of the College of New Jersey on September 23rd from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're very excited to be back at Trenton State College again.
How long
or the
has
College
it
of New
been
Jersey.
since we've been there? I think
Well,
I was
we've
there
been
one time.
Oh, we've been on and off really since we started. That was one of the first places we appeared. So probably it goes back to 2003 on and off for a number
I remember
of years.
the opportunity to stop by the Dare table and have a brief discussion if they would like to. And I had the camera, and there was nobody to have the discussion with me, as polite as I was. That in itself was wonderful.
Yeah. So, you know, prior to our getting up on Facebook and getting a web presence, you know, we didn't document an awful lot of things as thoroughly as we could have. But we're documenting them much better now. And I could go back and answer that question for you, how many times we've appeared at the Ewing Community Fest. But we'll be there again on September 23rd. That's
that was
Saturday.
well attended to. It was good.
Of course, our normal meeting, our national, the normal meeting in Capitol Hilton, the normal conference will be on September 10th, September 10th, 11th, and 12th. But that does. I'm only going for the 10th and the 11th. I have to come back, and on the 12th we're having our CMMNJ meeting, of course, at 7 p.m. That's second Tuesday in September. So September is figuring out to be a busy month. I'm going to give a presentation in Red Bank on September the 8th at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Where?
And
for to who?
Yeah, there's you know the name now, but it's a medical group up in Red Bank. And finally,
you are doing all this good stuff. Stuff like this can actually slip you. So much going on up. It's a medical thing and you know. This is awesome. There's so much going on.
Yes.
And on behalf of so many people, thank you for being to be able to be the one there to absorb what you need to and represent what you need to. You know, we have an incredible team from the top down.
Yeah.
You're the top man.
Well, thank you. But you're the top too, Jim. So
I'm the flag that flows just below the American flag. You know,
we share that.
You're the smart one.
We share the top. And of course, I've just been asked to be a speaker at Mill Hill Park at Jason and Laura's event.
Nice.
On September 24th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about the war on drugs at Mill Hill Park.
And
in
a great
Trenton,
venue
New
in
Jersey.
the amphitheater there.
Yes.
It's a great venue.
Yeah. So very
Easy
excited
listening.
to be here. You know, we see things starting up again in the fall. This is traditionally the time when things become more active. And of course, as you mentioned before, it is you know big elections coming up in New Jersey with all the legislature up for
they're
election.
They're out and
and
about.
governors.
They're out and about starting after Labor Day. Here
Next
and there.
week. Here we go.
Yeah.
And finally, up until September 25th to get your public comments into the Department of Health.
25th, okay.
September 25th, to get your public comments into the Department of Health.
Does that
on the
start
petitions.
the clock ticking for the commissioner?
No, I don't believe it does. I don't really know. You know, they make their own rules in state government,
That
or at least
they do.
they interpret
As
them.
they go.
Interpret them in their own way. You know, we thought we would have had the public comment period over by now. You know, it took them 2.5 months to get the results of the May meeting posted on their Department of Health website in mid-July. So, it's
slackers.
They march to their own beat, in state government. And
they don't even have a beat.
Well,
there's no beat.
And having worked at state government for 25 years, I understand, what they're under. It's not built for efficiency. It's not built for timeliness. There are other priorities in state government, unfortunately. Or fortunately.
That's why he's such a great conduit. He does understand from personal experience. He worked for the state, registered nurse for how many years?
A registered nurse for 41
40-something years.
41
wow.
years now,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So.
It is Opiate Awareness Day, Overdose Awareness Day, and Christie came up with a little statement here.
Oh, good.
Today, New Jersey and communities around the world remember individuals who were lost to drug overdoses and those who have been saved from the depths of an overdose and given a second chance at life. Addiction is a disease, and the associated stigma must be addressed so that more of our relatives, friends, neighbors, and coworkers are empowered to get help instead of suffering in silence from being shamed or disgraced. With prescription and illegal drug overdoses becoming the top cause of accidental death in the nation, it is time to shine a brighter light on this tragic issue. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 50,000 people die each year in America from drug overdoses, and another 2.5 million people are treated in emergency rooms for the misuse or abuse of drugs. The Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse remains committed to raising awareness about prevention, treatment, and recovery resources in order to save lives, combat stigma, and end the costly cycle of recidivism. We continue urging people to contact 1-844-REACH-NEW JERSEY and reachnewjersey.gov to access immediate and lasting resources to avoid or overcome addiction. It's Governor Christie's words right there.
Yeah, the real problem is, of course, that so many resources are not allowed for people with opiate use disorder. For example, marijuana therapy. Marijuana therapy is certainly a viable alternative to opiates. It can reduce the use of opiates, and it can ease the withdrawal pains from opiate addiction. But there are other alternatives too. Ibogaine, for example. Dana Beal from New York is a big proponent of Ibogaine therapy for heroin addiction and other addictive issues. And Ibogaine is still a Schedule I drug, and there's no discussion of making that more available.
I talked with Dana about that yesterday, and he has a very valid point that this needs to be put on the table for discussion. That to not discuss it would be wrong if you're saying this is the public health emergency that it is. In that case, everything should be on the table. They have nothing to lose by being publicly informed by somebody like Dana, except their plausible deniability. Right now they can say, we didn't know Ibogaine could do that. And Dana aims to take that away by having the discussion, and I support his efforts any way I can. As you know, Cheryl's late great Cheryl Miller's son Carl had such a problem, and Dana knew where he could go to Amsterdam, and Carl was a long-time success story with that.
Yeah, so you have personal experience with Ibogaine therapy, and
I've
the
seen it work.
usefulness.
I picked him up at the airport when he came back.
How does it work? What is how's it?
It's a drug that it's sort of like somewhat of a paralytic and a waking dream, and you really believe that you're somewhere else without reservation, without paranoia, and the waking dream leaves you when you are done, and the effects, it could be days before you're really getting the fact that no, Carl, you really didn't go to Africa. But Carl called me up before he sorted it all out, and the person that helped him said it's not going to make sense, but he's doing good. And I was just so happy to hear that. And he said, I went to Africa, and I met this a tribe of people, and I had to kill this beast for him in the woods, and I did. I don't remember how, but I brought back its head, and everybody's great.
He took a trip, kind of.
It's been likened to a psychedelic experience.
Sounds like it.
So, but it was good. But it should be discussed. There's more Dana's there's more science about it now.
Yes.
More to show people, more to bring to the table than there was just 5 years ago, or even then, which was 15 years ago.
And the experience, I understand, lasts somewhere 24 to 36 hours, but then the person awakens and the addiction is gone. You know, the compulsion to use these addictive substances is gone.
Without any of the withdrawal.
Without any of the withdrawal symptoms, and there's no more craving to use Ibogaine anymore.
Okay, I was going to say, does Ibogaine get you high? Yeah. Does it make you want to use Ibogaine?
No, it doesn't. So it's it's a drug with a remarkable potential as to interrupt the addictive process in so many people.
Carl said he smoked a cigarette after that, and he doesn't even know why, force a habit, but he didn't realize till then that he'd already also lost that urge. He didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
It's that powerful.
Wow.
The only caveat is that it should be used under medical supervision. There's a rare chance for some cardiac involvement, so it should be used under medical supervision. But it certainly should be. You know, we're not suggesting people go out and get Ibogaine, but we think that it should be legally available to people under medical supervision. Much
from
in New Jersey
Indonesia trying to send me Ibogaine all the time.
That's kratom. Kratom is what they're trying to send from Indonesia. Now, kratom is another alternative.
That's different.
It's different. It's a different drug,
really?
but it's a similar drug insofar as it produces a kind of psychedelic experience that, after you're done with that experience, the need for to use this compulsively, these opiate products, is gone. So many people find great relief from kratom, and yet the DEA just said, well, no, that we're gonna insist that it's a Schedule I drug. So they just recently scheduled it as a Schedule I drug because because it bound to the opiate receptors in the body. Is what it did, and it just did away with it. It's like when you bind to these receptors don't need more substances binding to them.
I have a question. Do you know the compound of this drug? Is it like a psilocybin?
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. I say everything because I'm dyslexic.
And that's mushrooms.
Yes.
That's different.
Yeah,
I know, but a lot of this stuff comes from natural herbs. And
oh yeah, I'm sure
it's different. Yeah, I don't believe it's a mushroom. I believe it is a plant.
Schedule I makes it hard to study.
It's a hallucinogen, or is it an amnesia drug?
No, I'm not really sure.
Sounds like peyote or something like.
What's Schedule I?
As long as the government's not experimenting with
Yeah,
LSD again, right?
It is also.
Yeah, Ibogaine Schedule I, and now kratom is.
Yeah, I'd like to see what it's made of.
Here you have
like
these
in the brain. Right?
These are not even drugs of abuse. People don't go out and abuse kratom. They don't go out and abuse Ibogaine, and yet they're considered a high potential for abuse.
But it shouldn't prevent them from being studied. If they were going to have it be Schedule I, it should be Schedule I /
It shouldn't be
or
Schedule
something.
I at all.
Well, but it should be able to be studied to show whether or not it should be Schedule I in the first place, because it includes no medicinal value. If it has medicinal value that could be found from studying, they should be allowed to study it just to see if it belongs in Schedule I. I mean, that's just like that's stacking the deck as could possibly be without that.
Right. And that's what happens when you have federal police, deciding what is and what is not medicine. That's something that we've allowed here in America, and it's an absolute outrage to have federal police decide what medical and scientific studies can be done here in America, and it's all just in favor of about drugs and continuing the system that they have now, the very flawed system, and it's very unfortunate. We should resolve as a community never again to let this happen once we stop this.
One of the things is when they do allow research, they're only allowing research for addictive purposes and for harm to the body. Why aren't they doing studies that will help with actual medical research, where there's so much proof, but yet they want to keep up the lie?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Cindy NIDA, the National Institute for Drug Abuse, which controls access to these drugs, their mission is to only find harms associated with marijuana rather than the benefits associated with it.
No, I was asking Rose. No.
Okay.
Want to come over? Okay. You want to call in? Call in from the phone. You call in from over there. It's a workaround. Well, you told me today about the what's going on. What's going on with you? Come over here. You got to tell me what's going on with you. Okay, all right. I thought you had a good story for me today. Okay, I'll get it from you later. I'll get you later.
So we have some T-shirts available here. We have large
Yes,
and
we
extra large T-shirts from the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey. If you need a new T-shirt, or if your T-shirt's getting a little stained like Dan's is over there, you may think about new T-shirt.
Yes.
We have $15 is what we charge for the T-shirts, and
Powered by NJ211. We offer
okay, I'm going to call this number here that Chris Christie gave us.
7 days a week.
It's a number for addiction,
Experiencing a medical
apparently.
emergency, please hang up and dial 911. If not, please.
This is 1-844-REACH New Jersey. If you have an addiction problem or overdose, 1-800-REACH New Jersey.
Thank you for calling V10J. This is Maria speaking. How can I help you?
Hi, Maria. This is Lefty Grimes. You're on the air. I saw that Governor Christie put this statement out here about Overdose Awareness Day. I didn't even know it was Overdose Awareness Day. How are we supposed to know this is going on? Because this is a horrible problem here in America. I lost a friend last year. What are you guys doing to make people aware of this?
Okay, thank you for calling V10J. Can I ask you a few questions to better assist you?
Sure.
Your name and your zip code? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Sure. This is Lefty Grimes. Right now we're doing a podcast at Chris Christie's office. Right outside his office, yeah. I don't think he's here, though.
Is this being broadcast?
Yes. Yes, we're on the air. I want to talk to you about Overdose Awareness Day, and it's a big problem here in New Jersey. And I think medical cannabis will help people as an exit drug to get off of opiates. I was on opiates for 10 years, and I got off opiates using cannabis.
I was on them for 20, and I got off everything. I'm leaving. See you.
Thanks.
That's allowed.
So is it important to you as it is to me, an issue? Hello. Yellow.
Yes, I'm sorry. One moment.
Okay. Okay, I don't know what she's doing. I guess we're on hold. Okay, we're on hold. I'm muting her. We're on hold. If I had an opiate problem, I think I'd have more of a problem right now. I'd be a little stressed talking to them. I don't know. What are we calling here?
Hello?
Yes, hi. You're on the air. This is Lefty.
Yep. How can I help you?
Yes, hi. We have a problem here in New Jersey with opiates and people overdosing. And I saw that it's Overdose Awareness Day, and we're doing a podcast right outside Chris Christie's office. And Chris Christie has a medical cannabis program in New Jersey, and he's not mentioning it. And I think you should talk about it because I was on opiates for 10 years, and I got off opiates using medical cannabis. And I think it should be something that's on the table talked about. Are you guys talking about medical cannabis as an exit drug for opiates?
Hello? I just want to let you know that we are a call center. We are 211, a confidential information and referral service working with the state to provide addiction resources for REACH and J.
Yes. And? Yes, and?
Are you trying to look for services for yourself?
Yes, I'm trying to help other people get off of opiates using cannabis. Do you guys talk about cannabis at all to patients or no? See?
We're not a direct treatment center.
Oh, okay. So you would refer me to a treatment center, maybe? Is that what would happen?
Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to transfer you to another Region J specialist. One moment.
It's the carousel of counselors. It's the carousel of counselors. This is why people are dying of overdoses in New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen. You can't even get a friggin' guy, anyone on the phone to. This is really sad. And now I got music. That's going to make me want to kill myself.
Hello, this is Region J. My name's Clifton. I'm going to help you today.
Hi, Clifton. This is Lefty. You're on the air. We're talking about Overdose Awareness Day here, and we're at Chris Christie's office. And I'd like to know, are you guys talking about cannabis as an exit drug? Because I was on opiates for 10 years, and I used cannabis.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used cannabis to get off of opiates. Is that something you guys are talking about there or no?
Okay. So, well, what we're talking about here, this is actually a crisis line for people that are seeking addiction treatment.
Okay.
So we're not talking about anything on this line. We're just trying to help people get into treatment. On the conversation that you're trying to have, you probably want to get in contact with someone that would be able to go more in depth with you about the legalization of a lot of different ways to address addiction. So, that's on a higher scale. It would be anything that we would be able to handle on this line. I can direct you to someone that would maybe be able to get into a deeper conversation with you on that level.
What would you say to someone that was in crisis calling you right now? If I was in crisis.
Well, we would handle that call when it was that crisis.
Oh, okay.
So at this time, we're not a crisis, basically.
No.
Yeah. So would you like to be connected with an agency that would be able to answer the questions that they're calling for?
Sure. Thank you. What's your name?
Okay. My name is Clifton.
Clifton. Yes, thank you. You're very helpful, Clifton.
Okay.
This is what we need.
What I'm going to do.
Yeah, this is what we need.
Yeah.
We need help from
Okay.
you guys because there's too many people dying. It's 100 people a day.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
crazy. We need to help these people.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get you connected to a licensed, certified drug and alcohol counselor that will be able to give you a little bit more information on what you're trying to do and information you're trying to find out. And they also address mental health and other, services you may be looking for. Do you have a pen and a piece of paper to take down the information I'm about to give you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, go right ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Just give me 1 second.
It's like I'm faster than you. I'm ready.
Okay. 1 second. And the number that you can call, this is actually a New Jersey office. It is the New Jersey Drug Mental Health Cares Line. Okay? Their number there directly is 866-202-4357. They'll be able to answer any questions you have, any legal matters that you want to address as far as, substance abuse, the treatment of people that are addicted. They have a lot of mental health education services available, self-help services, rehabilitation services, and inpatient and outpatient services as well. So it's a good resource to have. Is there anything else that I can help you with today?
No, Clifton, thank you. You're very helpful. And we just want people to know about Overdose Awareness Day and to help people get off these pills and these heroin and all this. We're done.
Yeah.
We're
well, you can
yeah.
You can let them know that we're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So anybody that's in a crisis dealing with substance abuse, they can give us a call here, and we'll work very diligently to make sure that they get the services that they're looking for. We're dealing with a addiction epidemic right now in the state of New Jersey, and we're trying to do the best that we can to address those that's in need of services, okay?
Thank you, Clifton, from 1-844-REACH, New Jersey. 1-844-REACH, New Jersey. Thank you, Clifton.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. There you go. All right. It's a real problem. We got to get these people off these pills, man.
I came in late on that one. Who was that?
That was Clifton from 1-844-REACH, New Jersey. 1-844-REACH, New Jersey.
For the Overdose Awareness Day?
Yes, today is Overdose Awareness Day, and Governor Christie put a statement out from his beach. Christie's on the beach putting out statements about Overdose Awareness Day, and we appreciate you taking 5 minutes out of your day to say something about addiction. Maybe 6 minutes out of your day. Thank you, Governor Christie.
He's so kind.
You are a very kind,
Considerate,
compassionate, wonderful human being. Thank you.
But why? Why overdose awareness?
This is his thing. While he's on the beach, he thinks of these things while he's on the beach. It should be overdose awareness millennium.
Are you going to call Leanne?
Am I?
You wanted to.
Okay. Give me the number.
609
Yes.
989
99.
6511.
Leanne, what's her name?
Leanne Lazaro.
Lillian Lazaro.
Is it Lillian?
Lillian.
Lillian?
Yes.
I wrote it down wrong. Lillian. I like that name. Lillian. Sounds like a flower.
I have a flower I want to send her.
Do you? What kind?
It's called a butt flower.
Where does it grow?
It looks cute.
Sorry, Patricia Kalinowski is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for
we're
more
going to leave a
options.
message now. Hi, this is Honeybee and Lefty, and you're live on the air with sativacross.com.
Yes, I talked to Lillian yesterday, and I forgot to ask her one question. I would like to get something in writing showing the policy that you have, so I can make a decision how I can get in there. Because I want to just video Ed Fortune. So, is there a policy written that I can get a copy of? Maybe I'll stop by today, because you don't have to make a copy. I can take a picture of it. I just want to see it, read it, see what your policy is, and how can I get in there to film the jail. I'm not a threat. You can search me. I mean, really, you could. I will actually submit to taking all my clothes off and searching me so I can film Ed Fortune. I'm willing to do that. So, please give me a call back. My number is 908-616-0682. 908-616-0682.
What about your email address?
My email address is djEveled@AOL. Yes, I still have AOL. Don't judge me.
She could email you them.
Yeah, could you possibly email me the copy of the parameters or the policy that you have for jail, for filming in the jail? That would be really great. Thank you. I'll stop by later if that's possible. All right. Thanks so much for your time anyway. Bye-bye. All right. That was the jailhouse. I'm trying to film Ed in jail, and they don't want us to see him in cancer. He looks horrible. He looks like he's dying, and we need to see that. And
you don't have any pseudo-news credentials?
Yeah, of course. I have my award. I have press pass.
I got an award. I'd like to talk to somebody.
I did work in the prison system for 22 years, and they are very sensitive about having even photographs taken inside the prison. They consider it a security issue.
Yes.
So it doesn't even do with you, Lefty, if
No, I
they're
know.
not allowing cameras
One of the rare times that's true.
or
Yeah.
photographs.
I'm not taking this personal, but Timothy McVeigh did sue, or NBC did sue to get Timothy McVeigh's interview before he died. And Mahmoud Jamal Abu, whatever his name is, that guy, they sued to get him an interview. So you have to kind of sue and really pursue it. So I'm the guy that's going to be a pain in the ass to them. So I guess I got to be a pain in the ass. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I understand where these institutions are coming from, because they're very strict about security. They have exquisite security procedures, and it's that's what they're all about, security and control. So it's.
She asked about my award, and she looked it up.
Really?
She confirmed that I had an award.
Yeah.
She's like, "Really? You won an award?" I said, "Yeah, Jam." She's like, "Jam?" Like, Jag. She looked up. Okay, Jags. That was like important to her. I'm like, I guess I need credentials.
You actually establish yourself as not a total liar.
Yeah, like a nut, like a liar. I don't know what the hell they want from me.
Well, it's imagine they get calls
you
from
see the
people
hoops that even you see the hoops that even big news agencies have to go through.
So this is what I have to do. Just keep jumping through these hoops, Ken.
Yeah,
I will.
Hopefully he'll be out by then. So I mean, obviously it's going to take a while. So
it's been over 180 days, and they added 60 days. To
no,
his
I mean
sentence.
for some type of legal approach to get permission to film inside this is a jail, a county correctional facility. So that could take quite a while.
I filmed from the jail in Linden.
Well, yeah, I saw that.
Meanwhile, somebody got a demotion you don't know about, but gets back to him.
My man here's suffering. You got a scar on you. What happened to you, bro? You got a scar there. What happened to you? What happened to you? You got a scar?
That's a minor communication problem.
Oh my God!
You got hurt.
And you don't get medical cannabis for that? They give you weed for that?
We got shot.
You got shot?
Didn't have your T-shirt.
You want a T-shirt? You want one of these? Yeah. All right, you get one. We're gonna give you one.
That's too bad.
Man, I'm sorry. This is the sad part of the show, too.
Yeah, we're getting ready to end it, right?
I want to thank CMMNJ, Ken Wolski, Jim Miller. You guys are the best. The reason why we can smoke cannabis here legally is because of you guys. Thank you.
Ongoing project.
Oh my God, he has head wounds, and he has eye wounds. He had eye. They shot you in the eye. They shot you in the back, in the stomach. How many shots? How many?
6 years. I get tough.
6 years?
Yeah.
How many? How many bullets?
The first time they shoot me here.
They shot. Oh, man. Ouch. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I hope you get some cannabis soon.
Look at.
They should give you. Oh, you just got out of the hospital?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Man, in Trenton we hear some horrible stories. People come up in wheelchairs, walkers. People have no money, no nothing, and they're just looking for help. It's sad. It's sad that.
Well, sad that we can't help.
That we can't help and that nobody is helping. This government can't help. Why isn't this government helping? They got a lot of money here. Psh, I don't get it, man. But thank you, CMMNJ. You guys are the best. SativaCross.com, MagicalButter.com, Happy Daddy Products, NewJerseyWeedman.com, who's sitting in prison with cancer, rotting away. They won't let me see him. They won't let me film him. Thank you, Ken.
Bye, Ken.
Ken's out of here
Ken
before
Wolski is no longer in the house.
He's
Bye, Ken.
Getting out of here before it gets sad.
Too late. Normally we're having such a fun time at the end, and then we get sad to remember those who have passed on. This, at least, it's not the direct 180. It's like we got sad before getting sad. You know, a little buffer
Well,
zone.
We got sad before getting
when
sad.
a man walks up with bullet holes,
That's
sad.
That's sad.
I know. I'm making light of a dire situation. I mean, Trenton is what it is, you know. And that's the beauty of being out here, though. You run into people you wouldn't cross paths with otherwise, you know.
Right.
DavidVersusAutism.org, Blue Planet Biotech, Run New Jersey, Medical-Freedom.com. Get your State of Compassion flags from Medical-Freedom. Can of Sense, New Jersey Grannies for Grass, Tuffy's Fight. It's Ricardo's daughter. And she is a fighter. She's a heck of a warrior, that little girl. They said she was going to die when she was, 9, 8. She's still going.
She's still
chasing
How old is she?
butterflies. 11 or 12 now.
Oh, wow.
Chasing butterflies. They said Jax would be dead by the time he was 9 or 10.
He's doing well.
Gervais kids don't live long. They live to be 10. That's the average. It's 10. That's
Well,
no friggin'
cannabis
life.
saves lives. For sure.
Extends your life, too, at least. Legalized for Lorelei, JacksonStorms.com, Prayers for Sarah, Prayers for Pete, Jenny's Purple Ribbon Journey, Jenna's Journey, Women's Veterans Collective, Women's Veterans Collective, and Weed for Warriors.
I know what that means.
I don't like this part. I'm sad already. Fire away. Dan's like, fire away. Fire away the sadness, Trail of Tears, whatever.
Right.
Tear bombs, man.
You want some tear bombs? Here they come.
And you never know.